We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order.
This crusade, this war on terrorism is going to take a while.
We came, we saw, we died.
We tortured some folks.
Yourselves to these unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines, you are not cattle, you are men. You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate, only the unloved hate, the unloved and the unnatural. Soldiers, don't fight for slavery, fight for liberty.
Ladies and gentlemen, the pod's been parked. Welcome to Dave vs. Goliath, episode 57. I can't believe we made it. We almost didn't, if I'm being perfectly honest, but we did. Thank you guys for being here. If you're watching live, thank you for being here in the moment. I appreciate you the most. If you're listening later on the audio platforms, leave your boy a nice review. 4 or 5 stars would do it. Anything less than that is pretty fucked up, not gonna lie. But I do appreciate you guys. It's been a hot minute since we've done this thing. I was doing a little soul searching, wheezing through the multiverse, cruising it. I was looking for a libertarian planet, maybe a libertarian country even, only to find Argentina. Got one while I was gone. So good for those guys. The U.S. still working it out, waiting for our Javier Milei moment. Are we in it? I'm not sure. Probably not. Probably need to get the inflation up another 100% or so before we're desperate. I still got Netflix and air conditioning, and I'm very comfortable. My cupboard is stocked. I think we got to get hungry before we actually make some moves. But before we get too deep into that stuff, what are we going to talk about tonight? Are we going to talk about the genocide in the Middle East, in the Gaza Strip? No. Are we going to talk about rapid inflation in the U.S. and the devaluation of the dollar? Not too much. We are going to talk about inside baseball, Libertarian Party politics, like the presidential election, because that's what really, really matters. Obviously, I'm teasing a little bit. We around here, we do a little bit of LARPing from time to time. You guys know that. I go to a certain limit and then I stop with the LARP, and then I call people out on the hardcore LARPing. There's that sweet spot you got to ride. But we'll get into that tonight. And I invited some friends along to critique the party with me and critique the movement a little bit, so it doesn't sound like it's just me shitting on these people. So first up, let's bring her in. She's been on the show before. She's awesome. She's active. She puts her money where her mouth is. And she works hard for this movement, and she's fun and good looking. Ladies and gentlemen, Forrest Mommy. What's up?
Thanks for having me. I like how you opened it up with shit talking. So now I'm really excited.
Absolutely. I'm here for it. Listen, this is like, I'm feeling it's been a while, and this is kind of like, a mini reset over on this show. We'll get deeper into it, but it's a different Dave today. Ladies and gentlemen,
I'm excited to hear about it.
Thanks. I'm not going full post-libertarian, but I am going to, unleash the fury on some of these people. But real quick, before we get too much further, let's bring in our next, co-host for the day, for however long you guys want to hang out. No pressure. But it's the founder of the LP Emo Caucus, that dude from New Hampshire, Ben Weir. What's up, man?
What the fuck is up, Denny's? How you guys doing?
Good, man. I love your intro, by the way. Yeah, it's a good one. You just started a podcast, right, dude? What's that called?
Recently, yeah. Shut the Punk Up. I'm in the YouTube comments too. If someone wants to check out my channel, it's been going good. I just had on Finn McKenty, who's like a big YouTube music reviewer. He's got like almost 700,000 subs. He's pretty cool. I had Buck Johnson on last week, who, speaking of post-libertarianism, he's awesome though. And then Mitch Connor last night, and this weekend is Steffi Peterson, Austin Peterson's wife. So good stuff.
Nice, man. Those guys are a great power couple.
Oh, and Zebrahead too. Zebrahead. I'm interviewing Zebrahead this weekend too. That'll be fun.
Dude, you're really getting after it, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, doing my best with the situation at hand. So
I do appreciate that, bro. And what's up with you, Forest Mommy? By the way, should I call you Forest Mommy, or should I call you by your government name?
Whatever. Everyone, like, even before my name was out there, people I knew in real life would go back and forth. So whatever feels good.
All right,
even
cool.
Jessica too. I'm like Jessie, Jessica. I don't care.
So you ran a campaign recently. Like I said, you've been one of those people who actually did the work. Can you give us like a quick?
I didn't want to.
I know, no, but that's a common theme that the people that we pluck to run for stuff are usually reluctant heroes. But how was it in the end?
Overall, it was good, and I'm kind of glad everything happened how it happened. I mean, I was basically on my own. I had help from some friends, some from the state party and stuff, but I pretty much had to get my own volunteers, and so I did it all. So I knew, I mean, I was learning as I went. I did my own like books and stuff. But it was a good experience, and my thing now is, which I told Ben also, like, that I would maybe run a campaign in the future, but now I'm like, because I said I didn't want to do it again, but now I'm like, now I just want to get on the ballots and get to the speaking things again, and like not even have to raise money. I don't even care about that. It worked out last year where I raised almost $10,000 from Twitter, like basically all from Twitter.
That's fantastic.
I know. It was great. And I mean, I lost obviously, but I got a good amount of I got 37.5%. So it wasn't like everything was wasted, I don't think, if the voting's real, right? But
right. And you kind of like, you got some good press. When I say good press, I mean like, the establishment was angry with you for running. That's pretty awesome. Like, what else can we ask, right? At this level, I think that's when we're at that public relations level where you just kind of like have to introduce yourself to the general public who oftentimes doesn't even know there's a Libertarian Party.
Right. Well, they had used the platform for good. I had the platform online already, so it was like that helped. And, I was one of those people where I was talking crap about politics and everything. I'm like, well, I got to get involved if I want to be like a true speaker of what's actually going on and knowing what's going on actually, so.
Right. So you're going to take it under advisement whether you run for office again?
Yeah, I'll definitely take it on ballots because it was pretty easy. Like the amount of signatures I need, like I can do that again, no problem. Like if I'm still living here for in 2 years, not this year, but the next year, there'll be some seats up at large position I could go for, and I want to get on the ballot because I got to go speak in front of people and tell them like the government ain't shit. And so it just that part felt really good. I got to talk to like a high school newspaper called and did a little interview, so it was fun to like kind of nudge. I was like, it's not the right or the left right now, it's the government. Like that's just be able to spread messages like that to them, and hopefully I was like cool and hip. They picked it up.
Oh yeah. And so you kind of followed the Mises Caucus Project Decentralization plan of. Yeah. Like just focusing on local stuff, like where we can actually win races or, poll high like you did. And, you were definitely, it was a winnable race. You could do it again and, perhaps win that. And tonight we're going to talk a lot about the presidency, specifically in the LP. And I kind of want to just like get to what that should be about. Like I've watched so many of these debates, maybe all of them, at least since Rec has gotten in. Since I've been working with that campaign, but I've been a little let down from them, and I just feel like these guys seem to be like, sometimes they talk about the hypothetical, like, well, when I'm in office, this is what I would do, and then sometimes they're like, they can get lost down these rabbit holes of like, well, is this the function of the Libertarian Party presidential candidate or is it not? So that's where the LARP kind of like gets a little too LARPy for me, So I don't know. This is just my opinion, and I kind of we'll hash it out tonight. But yeah, I thought that with the Mises Caucus takeover, right, the reset in the party, that might have been one of those things where we don't lie to each other, right? We don't get up there and say, well, we can definitely compete with the duopoly, man. Like, I don't know. Can you, though? Can you right now? Or should we be focusing on other stuff right now? Yeah, guys, have any thoughts on that?
There is like a role that the LP should be playing for these races. And the fact that we have like 8 to 10 people that are all like competing for 0.5% of the vote probably this year, and taking it like way too abundantly seriously. I don't know, man. Like, there's not a lot of qualified candidates, in my opinion, on the table. I know that we've been looking at. I know you're helping with the Rex campaign, dude.
Hey, man. Listen. By the way, don't hurt. You can't hurt my feelings.
I just met Rex for like the first time a couple weeks ago. He was in New Hampshire actually, and nice guy. I gotta tell you, dude. Literally as boring, if not more boring, than last time I saw Joe Jorgensen. And that's like dead serious. Like, I was actually rooting for Rec for a while there. And like, dude, he doesn't have the riz, man. Joe didn't have the riz. I'm kind of bummed about it. It was a very interesting. It wasn't like it was a milk toast on his takes or anything like that. Like, he's got some pretty base takes. I'm not like against any of that. I just don't think he's probably very appealing to the 99.5% of people that we need to win the votes from.
Well, okay, it's a good point. First of all, that was a very totally unique opinion you just had there.
It's not a unique opinion at all.
I'm just kidding. No, I'm yanking your cranky there, bro. But so you said he's far away from 99% of the people that we need to reach. So let me ask you, who are the people that we should be trying to reach?
It's actually not 99.5%. The people that we should be trying to reach are not staunch Republicans, not staunch Democrats. They're obviously independents, but they're the persuadable voters. This is like the case in every single election across the table. Like, there was just like an article that came out, or actually it was on the JFK or RFK thing where he was on the news, and he was saying like 37% of the caption was 37% of people would strongly consider voting for a third party. And I said, laughs in LP getting 1.2% or whatever it was. And like, but like, if that's true, like, which I think that's probably a pretty accurate number. I think that there are at least 37% of the pool of voters are persuadable voters. They're people who care about gun rights, care about free speech, that don't care about the crazies on both sides. Those are the people we're trying to reach. And I'm going to be real. There isn't one single candidate on the table right now that's going to be appealing to any of them. That's my personal opinion. So I think that, like, at this point, I don't know, dude. Like, I'm very upset. I'm very upset.
I understand. This is first of all, I appreciate the mood, and I can certainly relate to the sentiment. And I have heard that, yes.
And I love so many of the candidates too. I've met every single one of them, and I personally helped recruit like Toad and fucking Josh Smith and Franz, which, I mean, we'll talk about that maybe, but probably not.
We're talking about it.
Okay. All right.
No. Okay. So I just want to say real quick, I totally hear you on all the stuff about Rec and the other candidates. My idea with Rec, and he's still, in my opinion, the guy in the race. Like, he's the best one out of the selection that we have. This is not fantasy football where we can just be like, well, I would like Scott Horton to be the president, or like something like that. You know, like, with what we have, I think
almost had that though. We almost had that as an option.
I know, dude. I know. And everybody's comparing everything to Dave Smith, right?
You can't, right.
Personally, I wanted Dave Smith and Maj Touré. That was my magic ticket. I thought that would have been the shit. Didn't work out that way. Superman's not coming. But what you were saying about who we need to get, I think that's a valid approach. Like, we need to win over these voters or independents who might come out and vote, blah, blah, blah. My idea was, and I think the idea behind like the Project Decentralized Revolution was, find the guy who will reach the remnant. Like, you are not going to get the hardcore libertarians, get them to sign up for the Libertarian Party, you know, through the Mises Caucus, come in and start the 20-year process of like maybe doing what Forest Mommy is doing, like getting more of her out there. Now, this would have been a lot easier had we had like, you know, Dave Smith.
There's been a lot of me out there. There's
Which,
been
by
a lot
the way,
there.
by the way, the second you brought Forest Mommy onto the screen, my entire room raised 25 degrees. So, and it's cold in this room, so I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks one and no one. Good looking.
Yeah, again, I do appreciate you guys bringing the hot average up in here. Dan Torelli is my co-host, which, by the way, I didn't even say that. I'm such a dickhead. If he's listening, Dan, I miss you, dog. He's on paternity leave right now. He and his wife just had a baby boy, Dominic. So shout out to Dan. We miss him. You come back to the show whenever you want. My bad. But the point with Rec, I just was saying real quick that if you're interested in a long-term plan, I know that he lacks panache and stage presence, right? I understand that. I would be willing to sacrifice that for the guy who's right and smartest on the issues of the day, who also happens to probably have the largest reach, who has the, you know, the most pedigree, you know. So
I don't know about reach, but pedigree, sure. I would agree with pedigree, but maybe not the most reach.
Oh, okay.
We'll talk about that later, though. I think that
yeah. Well, so that brings up an interesting point. So if you go to maybe Rec is not the most radical, but he's on that end, right? But if you don't want to do the most radical guy and you want to go with the person who can get you the votes, right? If you're interested in a certain voting percentage, or if you're interested in ballot access, because all this shit really comes down to money.
Right.
Well, there's a clear choice about what we all could do this election season.
Going to get on those state ballots?
Yeah, we'll be on the ballot in every state. I mean, as you pointed out at the beginning of the show, we got into New Hampshire. People said it would take us weeks to get the signature. We needed 3,000 signatures in New Hampshire. We got 5,000 in a single day. So we have a ground team that, you know, in all of the states where we can collect signatures, we're doing that now. There's about 27 states, Michael, where you need a vice presidential candidate to start collecting signatures, but we have until August, so we're not going to have a problem getting on the ballot. We will be on the ballot in 50 states and the District of Columbia.
Is it possible that you will seek, as you are running as an independent, you will seek still to be the Libertarian candidate, which would assure you getting on all 50 state ballots?
That's something that we're looking at. We have a really good relationship with the Libertarian Party. I'm going to be speaking at the California Libertarian Party Convention. I think it's next week or maybe in a couple of weeks. And then we're talking about me speaking in New York. But, you know, so that is, and then we have our own political party now in 6 states. Which have rules that make that give us an advantage to have our own political party. We're not going to have a problem
I ask you
getting
the
on
question.
the ballot in
I
all
ask you the
states.
question. I ask you the question because Angela McArdle, the head of the Libertarian Party. Catherine, do we have the sound of this, by the way? Tell me quickly. Okay, I want to play something for the audience. This is the head of the Libertarian Party on my radio show in the fall. Roll it.
We've had a lot of good conversations and we're on good terms. And I respect his decision to want to go independent. The Libertarians really admire the strong position he took against mandates and lockdowns. And so we're going to stay on friendly terms and see what happens.
Bobby, make some news. I mean, it sounded to me like she's welcoming you to come in and ask for their ballot position.
Yeah, well, we are talking to the Libertarian Party, and I feel very comfortable with most of the values of the Libertarian Party. And, you know, like I say, we have good relationships. I'm talking regularly to libertarian groups. So we'll continue to do those talks. I can't give you a headline news story today, Michael. I'm sorry. Ask about something different.
Okay, well, I'm out of time, but you'll come back and I'll ask again.
All right, Ben, since we are such a clown show at the moment, obviously a makeshift operation and has no candidates that you're interested in at all, what do you say we Airbnb out the shit of this party, right? to this guy who's going to be the biggest.
The only good thing
independent.
about this guy is his appreciation for cake. And if you guys know what I'm talking about, his response to someone's TikTok video earlier with Big Booty. Wow.
I love it. Do you think that was him, or do you think that was one of
No,
his
it wasn't
aides?
him. Like he took over somebody like on a social media manager was taking over the account or something like that. That's beside the. I wish he would have just owned it and been like, "Yeah, I like cake."
Did
you
you
guys have
see
a
that
problem?
thing? Yeah.
It was fantastic.
Yeah, they made sure all the people who were like, "Oh my God, naughty!" He commented. They shared the picture everywhere, so everyone got to see the picture, even though it was naughty apparently. So we all got to comment on it now.
Let there be cake. Let people enjoy. Who cares? Meanwhile,
cool.
Nikki Haley's out there. She's known to have like 3 affairs, but somehow she's the top front runner against Trump. So whatever. Anyways, beside the point.
The regime choice. Yeah, she's hanging
out the party to RFK. I don't know, man. Like I can't even think about that right now because I have been hardcore like against RFK since everyone like even like back when like Dave had him on a show and was talking about it, like I have never said a positive thing about RFK. Like this man
I've been sympathetic.
No, he's as slimy as it gets. He has had horrible connections his entire career, his entire life. Like the whole like green thing. Like I know he came out and said like he wants a free market solution to like in the environment. That's complete bullshit. 100% bullshit. He's against guns, which is one of my top priorities is to protect my guns. And at PorkFest over here this last summer, there was like a counter protest right outside of his speech because he didn't want anyone to have guns in there, which to be fair, if there's someone that would be concerned about guns, it'd be a Kennedy. But at the same time, I don't think it was I just don't think it's like cool to, as libertarians, compromise our values and bend the knee to see this
to just separate him from some of the other times that we've bent the knee. Like I'm not suggesting that we get him to sign some pledge that says, "Yo, bro, we like the non-aggression principle over here, so you better sign this." Like I'm saying, no. Since we don't have our shit together, we're going to just like the party could make a statement that was like, "Well, we have the infrastructure you need."
Sure, it would save him millions of dollars. It would save us millions of dollars trying to get ballot access in states we don't have ballot access in. That's true.
It would definitely
worth
say, I think, for the next 4 years. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's something that we should weigh out. It's like
bring memberships. I think I just said that today to Meredith's boyfriend, also known as the chair of California. I was like, I bet he'll get more. He could maybe with the whole California thing, he could get more people to sign up than any of our candidates have done this whole time. You know what I mean? Just because of his.
So we're gonna have another 1 year spike of memberships that goes up, and then it's gonna go right back down.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I can see it happening.
Isn't that what I mean? Look, and this is kind of coming back to what I was talking about earlier. Like, there's some people that are cut out to do this shit forever. They'll just do this infinity dance where, like, the pendulum swings back, and the Prags won something, and the Mises Caucus take over. I'm not that guy. So like. I'm only taking over a political party one time, and I'm not fighting these fucking, the Prags or whatever, the CLC caucus. I'm not doing this again. You guys can fuck rap. You can have it back. You know what I mean? If this doesn't work out, if the takeover doesn't take, and you can't do something cool in 2024. So, that's why we're going to talk about this.
Well, in 2028, Force Mommy's running for president. So, I mean, we got something to look forward to.
So it'll be lit.
Party. What matters is who show, like the whole control just for the party. It takes so much energy and it's such a waste, and that takes away for people like us who like to actually go out and do shit and like do the activism. Which I mean, the party isn't. The activism can be kind of a side of the party, but it needs to be a part of the party too, as well as running candidates and stuff. And that's so exhausting. All that crap. It's just exhausting. I don't.
It is. It's the that's why the left. The left is so good.
Control.
The left is so good at this because it's the nature of a busybody to want to be in the procedure. They like the governmental process and like Robert's Rules of Order, and that's kind of like social time, like you were alluding to. So, we just want to be left alone. So we have to like step out of our comfort zone, go out to these, LP meetings or city council meetings or however you want to do your thing. But it's not in our nature typically.
Then I'm like, it's the same in all the, I mean, at least with the GOP out here too, the people who show up are much different than the people who just talk shit about the party, you know? So that's why I got to build all these coalitions. And I remember, Ben, when AFP like did Nikki Haley, you said something, because you have local activists who are at the AFP that like you're friends with. They're like cool people. And I had that same experience with these ladies out here who were working for AFP, and like I door knocked for their thing, they door knocked with me, like, and they're done with all the crap now too, and they're like laughing about the Haley thing.
No, they're not. They're actually like I've heard they're shifting gears, and I've heard like stories that Nikki Haley might be the no labels ticket.
Yeah, who knows?
No
But
way.
it's funny, the people
No
who cut
way.
out and actually do shit. That's what matters, and that's where the like. Who cares? We need the people to keep it legit and do the work, and we need the Karen Ann, and we need that stuff. But it's like,
Right. We really do. And I know that some people think that maybe I'm hyper focused on the presidential stuff because it doesn't mean as much as the local, or it doesn't mean as much as defend the guard and all these other cool things that we do. But my point is, if you don't kind of have that focal point, then you won't get the activists and the organizers and all the energy necessary to do all those things, to get people to get on the phone and make those calls for all these things. So you need a healthy activist spirit. So that's kind of why.
A great point, dude. Because like, honestly, like if there's one thing that we are lacking, that RFK is not lacking, it's volunteers and people doing work. They came out here, and in one day, they had over 100 volunteers, got over 5,000 signatures, and they got ballot access for New Hampshire.
Boom. In a fucking day.
Do you know how long it took us and how much money it cost us to pay people to get signatures because we couldn't even keep up with it? Like, it was absurd. For LPNH, we spent, I think it was over 16 grand paying someone to go get signatures for us, a couple people. And then on top of that, we had like less than 10 volunteers going out to try to get SIGs, because we had to end up getting like over 6,000 signatures at the end of the day. It was a lot. It's not as much as like New York or something like that. But I mean, it is absurd how expensive it is to get ballot access without volunteers. Meanwhile, this dude goes out here and spent $0 and got 5,000 in one single day. Do you know how frustrating that is? Like,
right.
So
well, that's why he's really the elephant in the room. We're kind of having this little mini LARP over here at the kids table by ourselves, where, by the way, Chase Oliver, I'm pretty sure, is running the table at the moment, which is crazy enough to think about. But like, I don't know if you guys saw, but this free and equal debate that's going on, I think it's a pretty big deal. 350,000 people voted in this. Once the socialists caught wind of it, they just took it. Jill Stein, RFK was up there for a while. Chase was like the only libertarian in the top 6, which is who they're going to pull to do it. And I think he just edged out RFK. So to me, this is a huge loss. Now, I think libertarians might disagree with me. I don't know. But I'd rather not have Chase in that debate. I'd rather have RFK and a bunch of socialists talking about a bunch of shit that they agree with, rather than Chase representing me. No offense, Chase. But that's just the way that I feel, dude. I feel closer in line with Vivek Ramaswamy on a lot of these things. So again, just to tie it with what I was talking about earlier, like, I'm not sure. Maybe I'm not the libertarian I'm supposed to be. Like, I'll come to grips with that. Whatever that means. Jacob Hornberger is calling Clint Russell a far right winger. Like, this is, somebody's wrong. It's me or Jacob Hornberger or Clint, like, something's going on.
Well, it's not you in that situation. I'll tell you that right now.
But like, these are our legacy guys. This is a guy who's been around since the 90s, a perennial candidate. We just keep running.
Yes. But he's living still in the 90s. His method of getting votes has not changed since the 90s. There's been a lot of things that have happened since then, which, by the way, the internet, for one. Like, it's insane that this dude is still back in those times. And he's saying that his open borders policy is what got him, what was it, 7% of the vote on a smaller race? This is
crazy. There's literally, I mean, yeah, and we're gonna get into this debate now here in a second.
Sorry, I could
you
go on.
You brought that up, and it's crazy because he does tout this. He touts his 7 or 8% when there was no Republican running and you weren't running as a libertarian. And for some reason, he thinks that his open border policy is the thing that got him that. It's like, dude, they just checked the third box. They didn't even know who the fuck you were.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like or the second box in your particular case.
Yeah.
Anyway, completely delusional. But tonight, let's get into the meat of this stuff. We're gonna do kind of an in-depth review of the Libertarian Party of Georgia's debate that they just had a few days ago. And the reason that I picked this is a multi-pronged approach, actually, because I've seen so many of these debates. So many of them have been just great disappointments, huge LARPs, wastes of time. Nobody's asking the real questions until they brought in the Tower Gang. You got Toad in the audience and Clint as a moderator in this. They wouldn't let him debate because he's only running for vice president. But yeah, we can maybe call that a little collusion. I don't know, between the moderator and one of the presidential candidates, if you want to. But I thought that this was great. They had Brad Binkley, who is co-host of the Propaganda Report with Monica Perez. That show rocked. He did heroic work during the COVID mania, like the lockdown stuff. So much great stuff on election integrity. So I thought that that was great. So this would be a good one to kind of, I don't know, maybe a little Matrix Breaker action with Toad. I think it was just some necessary energy that was
the Mr. Toad to you.
The Mr. Toad, who's we've talked with him on this show. We've had Clint on, we had Josh on, Rec. I think Chase. I think he was invited, but he declined. I think he's coming on the system is down soon. So, but yeah, let's take a look at this and see what these guys have to say. All right. So we'll skip around a little bit, and I'll probably give Lars the least amount of time because I see him all over my Twitter feed with his sponsored ads. So he's going to get.
That's not even fair.
It's so much.
Yeah. So yeah, there's no fair like debate rules on this. I'm going to probably skip Lars a bit. You're going to get a lot of Toad, a lot of Hornberger because I hate watch the Hornberger stuff and I love the Toad stuff. So that's probably what it'll end up looking like. But here we go. Let's get it started.
First question. You're in a bar. You just met me. I am an independent. And this is true. I haven't voted in a presidential election in a long time because I don't trust the Republicans. I don't trust the Democrats. And there hasn't been a libertarian to inspire me since Ron Paul. But I'm a winnable, skeptical, independent voter. So I challenge you. We just met in a bar. You just learned that about me. We're hanging out. Communicate to me not in terms of somebody who read Harry Brown a lot and loves economics. Communicate to me as someone, as a dude in a bar whose vote you can win. You're each going to have 90 seconds to win my vote.
I just want to say that I love that this is a normie guy who's kind of libertarian, who is outside and frames the question that way. Like, talk to me like a normal person.
Yeah.
Inspire me. And it would start with Chase.
First off, nice to meet you, and I'm glad you're a voter who's thinking outside of the two-party box, because most voters, just like you, know that the two-party system is full of shit. They are somebody who has failed us at every single level. They continue to expand a warfare state. They expand a welfare state. They expand all of these things that control you and your life. And I'm a candidate who wants to do something that's exactly the opposite of that. As they fight for authority, I fight for your liberty. And I don't know you very well. I just met you in a bar. But here's one thing I can guarantee you. No matter how you live your life, how you worship, who you love, or how you live, if you're doing it in peace, as a candidate for president, I'm going to say your life is your life, your body is your body, your property is your property, and the government needs to stay the hell out of the way of your life. And that's something that each and every libertarian fights for. And as a candidate for president, I'm going to be fighting with undying energy to expose the two-party system for who they are and provide a real positive thing that you can feel good about voting for. Because it's not good enough for you just to be voting for the lesser of two evils. That is something that is a failure if you're only voting for the lesser of evil.
I gotta say, I hate that Chase hates me because he's good at this. And
He's got the look. He's got a look.
Man, I've talked to Chase offline. I interviewed him for the Emo Caucus, which that video will come out soon. It's pretty wild. Yeah, he's a nice guy. He's presentable. He says everything. He's very politician-y, which is what someone needs to be for this type of role. He smells horrible. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Every time I met him, he has the worst body odor I've ever had. But he can fix that. I feel like that can be fixed. So.
That's important though for a messenger too. Don't stink.
Yes. So that's a problem with a lot of libertarians, actually, especially the neckbeard types. Get out of your room and put on some goddamn deodorant, you degenerates. So
we want to give you
Sorry.
something good to vote for, and I aim to provide that for you by saying we're going to oppose the wars, we're going to oppose the abuses that are happening at the federal level, and we're going to trickle that down to each and every state and locality across the country as we take the power out of those bureaucrats' hands and hand it to you. And if you're a parent, you're going to be the best advocate for your child. You have unconditional love for your children. So why do we take power out of your hands and put it into the bureaucrats' hands in Washington, D.C., or the State House in Atlanta? You should be the one who's going to be the best advocate for your child. And for you as yourself as an adult, you're going to be your best advocate.
He did say, bro, you're talking to me in a bar. Like, I think you forgot that a little bit, but I'm just, I'm nitpicking.
Yes, you're an independent, so I assume you're an independent thinker. And so what I would do is talk to you about the kinds of issues that are pressing us today and what we've just gone through in the recent past. For example, in 2020, you probably remember, we went through the COVID crisis and we were locked down. We were forced to have vaccinations, many people. We had social distancing and masking and all of these other prohibitions that made our lives impossible, that destroyed the economy, that ran up the national debt. So as a libertarian, I'm going to reach you where you are with the issues that matter to you now. And that are things like the COVID crisis that just is still lingering. And then they have on the horizon another disease X, which could be coming down the pike any day now. And they'll start to do the exact same measures that they did before. There are also other things that are on the agenda that we need to be out looking for. We must look at the question of the CBDC, the central bank digital currency, which will totally restrict our freedom of speech, our freedom of spending, it'll have total surveillance over all transactions. All of these things are major issues coming down the pipe. And of course, we know that one of the major problems today is inflation. And I will tell you, this is caused by the Fed, the counterfeiters that effectively create money out of thin air. This has got to end, and we will end the Fed. Thank you.
Jacob. The biggest lie that every one of us is subjected to this in this country in our government public schools is that we live free lives. We libertarians are striving to restore the genuine principles of liberty to this country, and we're leading this country in that endeavor.
Jacob, you're talking to me at a bar.
We are.
Oh, this is what set Jacob off on his path towards supervillain throughout this. Jacob, you're talking to me in a bar. Look at
How did he fall so far in 4 years, dude?
Oh, dude, honestly, I'm wondering if it was me or him. So I
it
don't
wasn't
know.
us, dude.
Okay,
Not us.
thank you.
He is not a consistent
Opposed to
motherfucker.
the killing machine that the federal government has become. Invasions, occupations, assassinations, immigration controls that brings death and suffering to people on the border. We are opposed to the entire socialist system that exists in this country. Social Security, Medicare, welfare, and every other socialist program, including the public schools where you receive that indoctrination. Help us lead this country to a better way, because they're taking it down. They're taking it down right there in Washington, D.C. This country is cratering from within with the out-of-control spending, debt, and the killing machine that this government has become. Join us to lead this country to a better, freer, more prosperous, peaceful, harmonious country.
I wish he wasn't such a maniac and an asshole, because he's got a lot of passion and he speaks clearly, and
He does.
I do
actually
appreciate that.
I was rooting for him 4 years ago, and I mean,
Yeah,
I
sure.
really was. I was hoping this guy was going to be the nom, and it just didn't obviously happen that way. Obviously, something happened over the last 4 years. Oh, COVID happened. Maybe that just broke him.
Oh man,
Maybe he got broke.
He's been focusing on abolishing Social Security in the meantime.
Mr. Smotz?
Hey, Brad, right?
Yeah.
Used to be a Republican or a Democrat?
Here comes this guy. Hey, what's up, fellow dude at the bar? What's up? You say your name was Brad? What's up, Tremont?
I was the only thing I've ever voted for in presidential elections is Libertarian.
You voted for Libertarian?
A long time ago. I haven't in years.
Yeah, I appreciate that. A lot of my family are Democrats. A lot of my fammy are Republicans. I used to be a
It's
Republican
sales
myself, and I don't know what led you.
What's that?
Give us a good sales hook. You know, he's doing the good sales hook. Get him talking.
Oh, he sure is. Yeah,
Part of the Gold New Deal.
You've heard the rest. Let me show you what a professional libertarian looks like.
To be a libertarian. But one of the things that led me to be a libertarian was realizing that for all of the reasons that my family had joined the Democratic Party, that party has gone in a really weird direction. A lot of folks, my mom and my sister in particular, joined that party thinking it would be a party of social liberalism, somebody that would stand up for your personal liberties. And for all of the aspirations, that party and my family have gone in two different directions. And honestly, as a young Republican myself, 100,000 years ago, having grown up as a banker and fiscal conservative, that party and I went in two different directions a long time ago. You know, it was in the 90s when I realized that it was a lie to say the Republican Party was fiscally conservative. And so I suspect that the reason that you became a libertarian was a lot of the reason I became a libertarian, which is that the other parties failed to reflect my values. And for that reason, I really felt like when I voted for another party, I was being untrue to myself. I was being untrue to my own values. And if you still have that libertarian leaning, as I believe most Americans do, by the way, I would suggest that you join us in continuing to represent those values. It's not so much your values have changed, but the frustration builds, right? But we're on the march, and I want to represent your values with you.
Look at Josh. Just
Thank you so much, Fred. I appreciate you giving me the floor. Somebody who spent 2 years as the #1 recruiter for the entire Libertarian Party.
That's a lie.
Yo,
Jesus Christ. Did he say that in real life?
Well, he was the #1 recruiter for at least a certain amount of time. I don't know how long it was. I know
Did
he
have
was
like a one-day spike. Like the fuck.
It might. I mean, it was when he was touring around.
Okay, I mean he's done.
I remember because I made a meme about it, and he was up there. The top 5 at the time was him, Dave Smith, Scott Horton, Tom Woods, Buck Johnson, and I think Josh. Like those guys were all crushing it with their LP affiliate links in probably like 2018, 2019. So I don't know how long, but yeah, he was recruiting the shit out of some members for a little while.
I love that. Hopefully they're all still here.
Yeah, hopefully. But yo, you got to give it to Josh, man. As soon as he gets the mic, you know, if this is about mic handling, you know, Josh knows what he's doing.
The important thing is not us talking at you. It's what's important to you. And that's something that a lot of libertarians forget. We're so well read and we want to be the smartest people in the room, but it's not always how it works in the real life. So what are the issues that are important to you, Brad?
I'm tired of all of the BS and it's overwhelming and the division. It can just wear you down.
Sure, absolutely. And we want to get rid of the BS, Brad.
Yo, Libertarian Party is against BS, Brad. I'll tell you right now.
We
don't
just
do
hate
it.
the BS.
We just hate the BS. Can't BS a BS, or Brad.
That's what we do. That's what libertarians are all about. We have this exhausted mentality of dealing with a warfare state and a Federal Reserve that inflates us out of the market and a federal government that can tax everything that we own as we're still paying on it. We're sick of all those things. But the really important thing, Brad, is even if you don't agree with us on anything, but you agree with a couple of Republicans and you agree with a couple of Democrats, but you're tired of the campaigning in a way that they don't govern, voting for the Libertarian candidate actually gives you the power back. And that's the very important thing here, is once you make us a national major political party, just by giving us a vote in November, you get us to the stage that makes us like sharks swimming in the water. These long-term politicians that have been sitting around doing nothing for years and years and years now have to worry about their jobs. Mitch McConnell starts freezing up even more on TV, right? And that's the important thing about being libertarian is we have the power to get enough people to vote for us to become the sharks in the water, to start pushing this.
So I want to believe this, and I would love it if this were true. It's just that people don't, we have 15 to 20,000 national members of the party, but millions of people vote Libertarian, right? And if you want votes, then I'm pulling it back to RFK here, because if you want all that major party status and all the stuff that comes with high vote totals and things, then I don't understand why that isn't the thing that we're all talking about at the moment.
I love Josh too, by the way. Like I consider him a good friend. Like he's a good guy. I have nothing to say really bad about him, But I will say this: if we're like the anti-BS party, which was said in the comments here, there's no one better to locate and call out bullshit than a bullshitter. That's all I'm going to say. So
heard that
narrative that these people are going to lose their jobs if they don't govern the way that they can. So thanks, appreciate you.
Toad? Yeah, you know what LP stands for, right? Tell me. Loser party.
Ooh.
That's what the LP is. It's a party of losers.
Listen, I must be a masochist because I'm like, give it to me, bro. Just give it to me, Toad.
I love this dude so much.
Yeah.
We were at a campfire at Pork Fest, right? And like we were just hanging out, and I was like, dude, I'm trying to find someone to run for the emo caucus. He's like, I'll do it. And the dude legitimately for the entire week, just these hilarious one-liners just like that. We're the party of losers, and just like it's wild. I fucking love Toad so much. He has such a good sense of humor. He's a comedian for sure. He needs to do stand-up. He should do stand-up for sure.
Forrest, Mom, you got any opinions on Toad so far, other than thank God somebody
I'm
came in
excited
here?
because I haven't watched any of it. And I knew it'd be great. So I'm liking it.
I love it. It's giving me all the Loki energy that I need, and he's facilitating that. So yeah, let's hear what else he has to say.
The party just constantly loses all the time. I would not try to convince you to vote for me if I was running for the LP. That's not the direction that I would take at all. And whereas a bunch of these other guys are gonna, just spew some BS about, well, both these parties suck. Yeah, everybody knows both these other parties suck for the most part now. I probably wouldn't even put a political spin on it at all. What I would do is, and this is something that I do, I actually go to bars and I just talk to randos. I just meet them like where they are, talk to them as a person. I talk to them in a pro-liberty way, but really just kind of spread a message of just sanity. And it doesn't even need to necessarily be political because politics have just infiltrated the culture so much at this point. You can be talking to them on a cultural basis, and you can be changing their minds potentially that way. And I think that's what we want to do. We want to sow the seeds of liberty in that way, just on an individual basis at the most ground level, the most base level. Two men sitting in a bar.
Once you've radicalized these random patrons in the bar, what do you offer them as a solution?
The solutions that I would be offering would be solutions for maybe how they can increase liberty in their own lives. Like, I don't see that there's a path to we're going to have liberty at a federal level, like across the United States.
This is so awesome.
Yes.
Matrix breaker. Fourth wall is down. Oh, Mike Tremont is panicking. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is you have to do this.
You have
we
to
have
think
to bring this
Tremont
to
had
reality.
his hands on his cuffs this entire time. He was ready to take this guy down and arrest Toad on the spot.
Like he wants so badly to be professional, but how professional can you be if you're sharing the stage with Mr. Toad? You know what I mean?
It's real talk.
Dude, yeah.
Like, that's delusional. That's ridiculous. So just talking about how they can increase that on at the individual level for themselves, their family, etc.
Mr. Mexic.
Yeah, Brad, thank you so much. I heard you say that you voted for Ron Paul, and I also voted for Ron Paul. And
All right. I'm not going to spend too much time on Lars, but since we got to him, Ben, you said he's kind of winning you over a little bit. I will say, I'm not. This is not objective news here. I have I have hardline opinions on all these guys, and I put him on definitely the side with Chase and Tremont. However, he pisses me off the least, even though it kind of rubs me the wrong way that he purchased the majority of his Libertarian Party influence, and seems like he purchased his way to get onto the stage and stuff. However, I am a capitalist, so I am sympathetic to that. And he hasn't said
not the first to do that, or the last.
Yeah. And he's not as bad as Chase or Tremont. He's not a cop. He didn't work for the George H.W.
He's
Bush
actually
White House.
has had some pretty cool accomplishments and he's called himself a libertarian for decades. So he's a good guy. I've met him multiple times. I have not publicly endorsed him as a candidate yet. But I will say that I'm very impressed by his resume. He's a business professional, and he's been a leader for a large portion of his life. He came from nothing, and he really like grew his business to be something that was wild. And people might not like the business. It was Adult Friend Finder. That's beside the point. Adult Friend Finder is a libertarian business. I don't know what lens you're looking through if you hate that, but like it's
Adult
true.
Friend Finder. Can you describe it to me?
You don't remember Adult Friend
kidding,
Finder?
I'm kidding.
You are like at least 1 year older than I am.
I'm
First, man. You don't know
kidding.
Adult Friend Finder. Get out of here.
She remembers. She remembers that shit. She was on there. Yeah, she knows.
I favorited your profile. I'm just kidding. I've never been on there. But anyways, so like I think he's a genuinely nice guy. He can say his spiel in a very like in a way that's not milquetoast. He's a very like matter of fact in how he presents himself. He's not as boring as Joe Jorgensen or Rectenwald either. He's got, he's very interested as well. By the way, I interviewed him for the Emo Caucus. And like I said, this video is going to come out, but, he is into goth girls with big tits. So I was like instantly wooed by this man. He's very like, emo friendly, for lack of a better term. And that was cool too. But like genuinely, like the dude's got like have you looked at his website and his platform? Because it's actually like pretty solid. Like he's got some good things that actually like would be important to people and important to voters. Whereas a lot of the other people like Mike Termont, his stuff is generated entirely by AI, essentially. And the other guys, like they're focusing on things that some of them are not even being talked about by normies at all. Whereas I think Lars is being like taking a more approachable route, in my opinion. And this isn't me saying like I'm trying to be pragmatic or have another Joe Jorgensen on the plate. I don't think he's a Joe Jorgensen. I think he's legitimately a good candidate. I really do. And he's self-funding. He's a self-made multimillionaire. He's done a lot of really cool things. And just because he hasn't run for local office or been a part of his county affiliate should not disqualify or discredit him in any way.
Definitely
that is
not.
ridiculous. You know what I mean? So that's my
I don't
opinion.
care how. Yeah, when I'm looking for what I'm looking from these guys is like what can you do for us? So regardless of being in the party for 6 months or for 6 years, like what can you do for us right now? That's kind of where I'm at. So
Well, and like
it's a sales job.
His goals is to like get at least one delegate vote. He's aiming for a delegate vote in Maine specifically. But like he wants to get us at least a delegate vote. And I think that like his
Ben, but here's the thing, bro. Why? Like we're libertarians.
Sure. I'm an anarchist before I'm a libertarian too, by the way.
If you want a delegate vote, I'll get you 10 if you just get RFK. If that's what it's about, then why go for, if you want money? Oh, you
I'm
want
not
money
for delegate votes? Sure. I'm not.
Right. I think that's kind of a fool's errand to go, oh, we would change the world if the United States saw that
we just
got
had a delegate.
Like I can appreciate looking for any in. So that's cool, bro. It's just like it's a Band-Aid or like just a quick fix that you're looking for when you really need to change the culture. Like liberty is not popular. All the socialists took over that free and equal vote. Socialists, communists, working families party, independents. Guess what? You're all socialists. It's just they're consuming everything. So liberty is not popular right now. That's something that we kind of have to come to grips with. So if we're gonna go with a guy, like I understand the appeal to Lars. It's like he hasn't said anything that offends me, like Chase. I don't think he's the best on the mic, like Josh, or the smartest guy, like Rec. But he's got a lot of money.
Yeah.
And he can do the thing. And he's got a nice suit, nice power tie. That counts for something. But yeah, we probably won't listen to everything Lars has to say tonight. 2.5 hours. These guys really went hard, but we'll see what else he has to say here. We'll let him get through this spiel.
Back in those days, I really thought that he could win and that we would have change in the country. I voted for Ross Perot too. I thought he could win and change the country. I never felt like the duopoly resonated meet with me and that they represented me. I've never voted for a congressman or a senator that has represented me because none of them have ever won that I voted for. And so I feel that disillusionment that you have. I feel that like despair that we can't change anything in America, that the system is so rigged against us that we have no opportunity to actually create liberty for anyone. It seems oppressive, really. I mean, when you get down to it, and you can talk about the economy with the inflation that's crushing everybody, with the IRS that turns regular folks into criminals. You can talk about the rigged healthcare system, where it seems like the doctors are more caring about the pharmaceutical companies and the insurance companies than they are about the regular people. You can talk about the rigged criminal justice system.
Yeah, I gotta be honest with you, man. This is kind of where I was at 20 years ago, and I do feel for this guy. Like, oh, I voted for Perot and I want to change, and I supported Ron Paul and I want to change. Like, bro, we're talking about 30 fucking years ago. Ross Perot, more than that. Ross Perot's running, and you're talking about unrigging the system. Dude, bro, listen, bro. You can't unrig the murder cult. You know what I'm saying? I can't wrap my head around that. You can't look at the Death Star that the fucking Empire puts out and go, we better unrig this thing. You got to unrig this quick. You know,
So, I don't disagree with you. And to be honest with you, like I said, like whoever ends up with the ticket here, like I'm still gunning. I hope Spike puts his name on the list. Like I hope to God he puts his name out there at some point. Last minute, I don't care. He can be the day before DC. I'll vote for Spike. But like the truth is that we can't expect. Here's the thing. I think a lot of libertarians, especially like in our camps, expect there to like, maybe we don't expect it, but like we want there to be like a Javier Milei type revolution in this country. We're not in the same cultural, economic place that Argentina has been in. And, this isn't that, like, if we're trying to like make something right now, I think that like, I'm actually not very pragmatic in real life, but I think that like if we're being serious and being honest, a pragmatic approach is probably the most serious we can be as a party. I don't think that we are going to be able to appeal to people with anarchy. And I'm an anarchist. I'm like probably the most anarchist person you're ever going to meet. But like, I'm just telling you as it is, if the goal is to get votes or even as messaging to win people over to just like have freer lives, I don't know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this too, but like, I'm just kind of spinning wheels at this point, but.
Forrest, Mama, you got anything you want to add?
No, I mean, I'm not going to DC. So like I have, I'm kind of stepped back from this a little bit where I kind of can let it go. But, yeah, I don't like you were saying, you're talking about unrigging the system and all that. And it is impossible, even at the local level. Like
it's impossible.
It feels so rigged. I mean, it is so rigged out here. My election was not the actual election was rigged, but just the whole system and everyone who run. Like it's all so pre-planned out and rigged, and
yeah.
So
I feel like unrig the system is just a couple steps before wrecking the regime. Like, I don't want to wreck it. I feel like I can fix this thing. If I could just negotiate with the murder cult a little bit, I could probably unrig it and make it a little bit more fair. And I just that message doesn't resonate with me, but maybe with the general public. We'll give them a little bit more chance.
System where they're throwing people in prison that shouldn't be in prison for crimes that don't have a victim at all. So I feel that despair. But look, everybody here has the power to unrig the system. You have the power to unrig the system. And if no one is willing to stand up and do it, it's never going to unrig itself, right? I need everyone here to unrig the system with me, to fight for liberty, to fight. We heard Spike Cohen today talk about the Hernandez family and the atrocity that's going on here in Georgia and how tough that is. We need to end this kind of government coercion. And if people don't stand up, no one's going to stand up. So it takes everybody to stand up.
I have a quick follow-up. I want to hear from Michael and Joshua on this, starting with Michael. I know all of you guys want to abolish the Fed. I'm no fan of the federal.
I'm going to skip ahead a little bit because they talk about the Federal Reserve, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the people here were pretty much in agreement when it comes to the Federal Reserve. I think he talked to Josh and Rec on that one, but I'm going to skip ahead to the border issue.
are. Given that the federal government has refused to enforce the border, does Texas have a right to defend its border? To what extent? And would you support an effort at peaceful secession up to and including defensive violence? Feel free to explain your perspective on immigration within this response.
Good question.
It's a good question.
And look back since we went the other direction last time.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that I'm a big 10th Amendment guy. I believe that the states have the authority to take care of their citizens, and that government in general is better at a local level than it is at the federal level, that we should allow citizens to be governed by people that are closest to them because they understand them the best, right? And I often say the federal government carpet bombs people and the local government holds a gun to your face, right? But all of it is coercive. And so I think that the state of Texas should be able to defend its borders if that's what they choose to do. I don't think that a president should incite violence by calling for cessation of states, but I do support the right of states to move in that direction if that's how they feel fit, right? Because there should be a way to extract yourself from the federal government if the federal government is behaving in a way that's disadvantageous to its citizens. So I feel like the Constitution and the founding fathers set this up in a way so that we could address these kinds of situations in a civil manner, maybe without having to resort to bloodshed. I'm always on the side of less death, and so I would always try to find a diplomatic solution to the problems that we have before inciting violence across the country and having brothers pit against brothers. That sounds totally horrible to me.
Just a quick follow-up for you. It seemed as if you were insinuating that perhaps the federal government or the president is behaving in a way that is deleterious to the American people. Do you perceive that to be the case with the border issue?
30 seconds and follow.
Sure. I think that the answer that I gave was more just in general that a president shouldn't, not necessarily that this president should.
I know. I'm asking specifically.
Yeah.
Do you believe that is it a dereliction of duty what he's done on the border or no?
I think it's a dereliction of the entire Congress, not just the president, that they have given up on border security. They've given up on addressing the crisis at the border, that they both benefit from the crisis at the border. They like the chaos because it's a way of fundraising for them, right? They never seem to fix these problems over and over. You can name 50 problems that they haven't fixed. And the reason they never fix them is because they like pitting each other against each other so that they could get the money out of people's wallets. And I think that's wrong and needs to end.
Mr. Toad, go for it.
Yeah, so if you think about, if you have like a small town, let's say, and people in that town at the moment have like a common culture that is pretty pro-liberty, it's pretty sane. But then at some point, the government of that town, the town does still have a government, they decide, well, we're just going to start letting anybody and everybody enter this town, including people that don't share that culture with you or that respect for liberty. Anybody who's sane, anybody who is bound to reality can clearly see that's going to totally destroy that town. It's going to be completely destructive. So that is why the open border opposition is not sane, it is not pro-liberty, and it's not a popular one either. And what going to the question was specifically with Texas. Yes, Texas, of course, does have the right to defend their borders. They're defending themselves from an invasion. And what the federal government is doing is saying, we're going to also invade you just because you're trying to stop yourselves from being invaded from another direction. So, yes, I'm 100% on the side of Texas there. And I'm also pro their right to secede from the United States as well.
Mr. Smith.
I'm going to skip ahead. Love Josh, but 2.5 hours. And I want to hear what Hornberger has to say here.
I'm going to get some more whiskey real quick. I'll be right back.
Yeah, bud. Go ahead. Go for it.
To this immigration crisis, perpetual, to the death, the suffering, and the police state that exists along the border, is completely open borders. Abolish the Border Patrol, the Immigration Service, and all restrictions on the free movements of goods, services, and people across borders. There is no other solution. And every one of my opponents here takes the Republican position and the Democrat position that we need this socialist immigration control system that brings death and suffering and crisis. Clint, your premise behind your question is totally unfounded, that this immigration system's not being enforced. I grew up on the border. I lived there almost half my life, and I can tell you it's a police state.
Can't both things be true? Can't they have an entire apparatus of Department of Homeland Security and Border Patrol and all that shit, and also be funneling in people where they want? You know, hundreds of
they're
thousands
moving
at a
them.
time.
They're moving them on buses. It's on videos. Owen Schroyer
Right.
like caught them on video. The Border Patrol helping them get on buses, and they're coming to Colorado. We got 40,000. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry they didn't get. How could they have got here completely on their own? You know, like it's
Yeah.
human trafficking.
It is literally, and these guys want to act like this is some antiquated shit. Like, oh, you know, people used to come to Ellis Island, you know, on boat, you know, like seeking a better life. It's like, that is not what this is. It's so bizarre. This guy's living, I mean, forget the
Like, we had all these
1990s.
NGOs and all that stuff during at Ellis Island that were just getting all these huge checks from the government, you know.
Right. Right. And you know, usually it's individuals coming over, you know, like, or a couple, not, you know, entire families and hordes of people. It's just like, it's so crazy. It's not the same thing, man. This guy.
What they're really pointing out is their police state hasn't worked. That's what they're lamenting. And that's what this governor in Texas is doing. He's doubling down with concertina wire, buoys that are killing more people because his beloved little police state hasn't worked, and it will never work. We need to lead this country out of this morass. And the only way we lead it is by liberty and making the case for liberty. Open borders has been our position in this party since the founding of this party in 1971 in David Nolan's living room. And we need to lead this country in the direction of freedom and private property. And let me tell you something about my friend Mike. What he didn't tell you is that he favors completing Trump's wall with eminent domain stealing of people's property. How about that kind of a system?
Fucking Rick, I love you, dude. Real quick, we have more guests coming in. It's really turning into quite a party.
Hell yeah.
We got
Let's open up this pit.
LP stands for loser party. That's what kind of party this is. Toad is the one with the street smarts. Loser.
Get out of here, loser.
Hi.
What's up, guys? We got Dan and Kate. What's happening?
Hi, Dave.
How are you guys?
Great. Just great.
Hey,
Everything that we've
for-
ever fought for has gone to shit, but we're doing fantastic. How are you,
Listen,
Dave?
Thanks for making this part of date night tonight. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely happy to do it. We stuffed down some burgers and some drinks, and then we rushed back for this riveting entertainment.
Hey, man, listen, I don't care.
Not you, everybody else.
I love this niche shit. This is my entertainment, and I'm
I do too.
I love it. I can't help it. But yeah, man, as you can tell, we're just getting into it here. I think we're about to talk border wall between Hornberger and Rectenwald, and see where it goes with these two magical guys.
You mean we're gonna interrogate them McCarthy style?
Oh,
And be
Clint's already
alt-right
at it.
Republicans?
A very, very right winger, Clint.
Yes, that
Kurt Russell.
menacing tone of his too. He's got a very menacing tone.
Oh man, he's got that radio voice. I think that's what it is. That's how you.
I think I have a right to retort that. I don't favor that. I never said that. I said a Republican might do that. That was in an essay that he apparently doesn't grasp the context of. That's not my problem.
Ooh.
He has a reading comprehension.
Ooh.
That's not my.
He's a little sassy.
my
He's
issue
got
is that-
sass in him.
You
Look,
dumb bitch.
I do like when he does that. Say it again, bitch. I dare you. Say it again.
Yeah, but
I
in
knew-
a second, he's going to be facing the wall, and then he'll just be gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peak autism on the wreck. I'm sorry.
It's
I love you,
just-
wreck, but
I mean, like this position, I mean, we're just holding and rocking ourselves because he's just a hop, skip, and a jump away from like blowing his brains out. But he's had enough. Like this
no
is-
lie. Yeah.
And what the fuck happened? Like Toad is not wearing shoes, and he won.
Right. Well,
Barefoot,
see,
and he won.
I listen when you
Hey,
don't.
you and I are close in age here. We've been doing this shit for 20 years.
I know. I don't have time to do it anymore. That's what I'm saying.
Done.
I'm turning over a new leaf. I'm exiting the.
I don't
the
have
realm.
the energy for this. I'm almost 40. I'm done.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
I mean, yes, you're boring, Michael Rectenwald. I get it. Like you suck. Nobody wants to read a goddamn book. But for fuck's sake, like, can we open a book and not just rely on Joe Rogan? And Dave Smith.
I know. No,
Like
if you're
when
talking
he's
to libertarians,
quoting
no.
Roy Rothbard. Yes, I'm talking to the entire loser party who's also illiterate, apparently.
Yeah.
Coming in
yeah,
strong. Michael
I'm
Rick.
sorry, Dave. I didn't mean to just hijack that. I don't know how
We
this
are
works, really.
No, we did hit the loser party part, and we had a good chuckle.
This is
about that.
good.
This is Kate's podcast christening, so like all of her pent up rage is gonna all come out at once. But I do like I mean, she mentioned Rectenwald's his posture. He seems like he doesn't want to be there, and then half the time he's not there.
Not
and
just there on the planet anymore. Like
So
in
let me.
general.
I'm gonna
He's
listen.
done.
You know he's my guy. I'm gonna continue to go to bat for him, even
And
though
I am
I
too.
understand. I understand.
He's right, but he's got
But God
he
damn
doesn't
it, like he cannot be on a stage with Trump.
he doesn't
Well,
have a face made for
listen,
radio. He has an everything made for
But
print.
Kate, nobody is
I
gonna be on a
know.
stage with Trump.
I know.
Fucking Chase Oliver would like
Right.
to convince you that somebody could, and once they do, they'll stick it to him. Nobody's going on the debate stage with Trump. Not Nikki. What's her head?
Haley.
He
Yeah,
had the
I'm
same.
still-
He
I
had the
still
same
like-
posture and enthusiasm when he was in New Hampshire a couple weeks ago, and I'll tell you, like, it's just like, he has a good message.
Yeah.
It's just not.
Yeah.
In print, he's great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
that's
still
it.
like the
But
Airbnb
that's it.
being RFK out. Like I like it.
Disagree, but we're not going to
Fucking do
hijack
it.
this.
It's on record.
argue
But
later.
I want to say again that all these guys, except Rec, really want you to know about them and trust them because they're all politicians. They all said, "I'm the guy," and let me explain why. Rec was the only one that was recruited. Dude, we need somebody to kind of head this part of the movement and this part of the party, and he accepted the challenge. I bet you he's probably regretting some of it now. With you guys know about Hillsdale and his. Yeah, I mean, he lost his book deal, he lost his fellowship, and all kinds of shit, just so that he could come and deal with a bunch of libertarian dickheads. You know what I mean? Like
Kate.
but I do hear that. I hear you on the criticisms, though. This is fair, and that's why we're here, and that's why we're doing it. Let's see what he has to say.
We're giving out recently. The Offices of Refugee Relocation has handed out $20 billion to non-governmental organizations, NGOs, to distribute this money to incoming refugees. This is unbelievable. This is what has to stop. If you want to get a hold of this thing, we need to get all the social welfare cut immediately from all immigration.
Mr.
So to the point of the original question, first off, yes, the people of Texas do have the right to secede if they choose to, because they are people and they have rights. States don't have rights. But when we come to the idea of federalism, we have to recognize
He knows what he's saying when he says states don't have rights. Like he's being intentionally obtuse. Like they're not literal like human rights like a human has. It's the nomenclature for what the state has the legal authority to do. Dude, you should know that. And I just think that's kind of weird. He said that.
there's not one border that sits next to it. There's a national border, a state border, a county border, a town border. Who has precedence over that? Well, there have been cases that have been brought to the Supreme Court that have argued this. The Supreme Court has been clear since the 19th century. It's not new to say that if there is a border that is created that borders another nation, that the nation, the federal government, would have to control that border. Now, what I can say is what's happening on our border with Texas and California, and Arizona, and everywhere else is a complete failure of the government. It's not because of immigrants that we have an immigration crisis. It's because we don't allow immigrants to come through in an easy manner, and the ability to just walk in, get your basic name.
It is a failure of the government. And Texas is suing the federal government, not Mexico or immigrants. So I just wish he'd kind of hone in on that a little bit.
A basic background check to make sure we don't have to extradite you back somewhere. Ellis Island style immigration. We shouldn't be making it harder for people to come immigrate. I was just in El Paso. I talked to a restaurant owner who said, I would love to hire these asylum claimants while they wait for their court date, but I can't do it because they have no proper documentation to work. So why can't we allow these people who are waiting for their court date just to work instead of putting them on the public dole and leaving these communities to have to care for them? And so I say we can have an Ellis Island style immigration system that lets people come in very easily and leave very easily when the planting season is over if they want to. If they're
Cool, thanks, Chase.
For much intervention all over the world by the military-industrial complex. Is there any priority given to those that live in America versus those that live all over the world?
Yes, because the American government is they're responding and they're governing the people of America. They don't need to be governing the will of people all around the world. Terrible things will always happen around the world. That doesn't mean the United States needs to go to war with every nation that does a bad thing. That's frankly us trying to export our values on other people. That's just not the way.
And so we need to embrace that and move that forward to make our cause grow.
Self-govern the time here, libertarian self-government.
Mike Tremont in the background.
Yeah, keep it going. Just spit.
Unlike my buddy Josh here, I do not have respect for Hornberger. Not his
Right
position
on.
on this. I would ask him because he was talking about the fact that if people are invited, which is actually what Rectenwald's position is, then they should be able to come here. Are you inviting all of these immigrants into your home right now? I just came from Boston. Logan Airport has an entire terminal that's a fucking shanty town for illegal immigrants that have come here. Due to
How many
the
immigrants do you
policies
think
and actions
Hornberger is
that
willing to sponsor?
You took my line.
We already yelled about this all night last night. We stayed up and watched the entire fucking
Yeah, like
3
which
hours.
one of these motherfuckers is willing to sponsor these people? Because I'm not.
Well,
Yeah.
the only two that would are Jacob Hornberger and Mike Tremont and maybe Chase Oliver.
And Michael Rectenwald. If we're gonna do this Ellis Island style, like you have to sponsor them. You have to be held responsible for them.
Well, that's what he's arguing. That's what Rec is arguing, that you should have to be sponsored to come here. So yeah,
Oh, agreed.
Termont hates that. He's like, this is, you'll get to it, but he doesn't even think that's a libertarian position at all.
Hornberger hates it even more. So yeah.
Yeah, it's great. But I gotta one more shout out to the dude Toad, who's bringing in that
Right?
the chaos energy that these fakes need so badly.
He's making him cry. He's representing the emo caucus well.
He's also being like the most Hoppian of everybody up there.
And the most honest. And it harkens back to what got me into working in this stupid party, which is Vermin Supreme, when he was just shaking things up and also doing it respectfully. Like he took the boot off and he was respectful and had good answers. There was a time. Check the records. It happened once. Now Toad is giving me some of those vibes of like, I'm here. Well, even more so. Like it's odd that Toad is more chaos energy than Vermin Supreme was in the last go around. But I respect it, and Toad
at
is
least
he doesn't have an
knowledgeable.
OnlyFans, you know.
Yes,
he is knowledgeable. He's well read, so he's got the chaos energy that Vermin
He's
brings
chaotistic.
without the communism. So I completely appreciate it, man.
Me too.
So very necessary. But let's let him finish up.
He's a good guy.
Are you going to invite all of those people into your home?
Are we going to move to the next question? I love that interaction.
It was rhetorical.
That's a great question. It points to the virtue signaling that's going on here.
Yeah, tell him, Rec.
There's a lot of virtue signaling.
Really? Okay.
Oh, did you guys see that?
Oh,
The
shit.
beef? Oh, Termont poked his head out.
go.
He's
Let's
not
go.
happy with Rectenwald because for all the virtue segments.
Yeah, I think we've got a problem here when we continue to allocate time to silliness. Josh,
Yes, this motherfucker. Is this some double speak right now? Because I feel like I've donated a lot of time to your silliness.
was trying to interrupt saying, we've run out of time. No, we've run out of patience. The idea that we should throw the border completely open is a virtue signal. No, it may be a dopey idea because Americans deserve a little bit of vetting at the border. That's a basic security thing that we expect from the federal government. We all get that. Okay, can we settle down?
Is that true? Are you agreeing?
We all get that. Wait a minute. The other side of the coin needs to be said, which is we do need more.
Josh is providing the second amount of comedic relief for me throughout this whole thing, just with his eye movements and stuff next to this guy's fantastic.
More immigration. We do need to get used to vetting people across the border quickly. This idea that Mr. Rectenwald has of shutting down the border in order to honor someone's property rights in the middle of the country, that's not a libertarian idea. That's a silly idea. That's a silly idea.
It's dopey. It's downright dopey is what it is. Kids and their tomfoolery.
One of the most important libertarian thinkers in the movement, and it was followed up by Hoppe, who elaborated at great length.
Yo, Rec, I don't give a fuck what these guys say. You are adorable as you are ferocious, bro.
I feel pretty ferocious myself.
Listen,
Dude, he's like if little Ralphie from the Christmas Story grew up and just had no life into him.
He goes.
He's the Toby Flenderson, but because he's always right, but nobody gives him the respect he deserves because of his boss.
Exactly. He is always right. Everything he's talking about, these guys are fucking wasting time. He's talking about the real shit. Great Reset.
I'm just glad he didn't shoot his eye out.
The guy in the bar just killed himself. Libertarian guys.
Just get your birth rates up, guys. Let's stop. We don't need immigration if we get our birth rates up. Okay.
I love it. The Genghis Khan of the Liberty Movement was just like, if you guys would just start fucking, then you don't have to let all these people in. This is like awesome.
Josh is making a party of his own.
Yeah. I've heard this all my life. All my life, I've heard we can make this system work. What they don't understand and what Toad doesn't understand is that the crisis.
Isn't that awesome that he had to say that?
Yep.
What Toad doesn't understand in this very serious debate.
This clown Toad.
The death, the suffering, and the police state are rooted in the system. And so if it's rooted in the system, you can't reform it. You can't fix it. It's an inherently defective system. We're not talking about, me inviting anybody. We're talking about the right of people to cross the border peacefully, which is not involving the initiation of force against anyone. Oh, by the way, which is our core philosophical principle. That's what they don't understand.
What you don't understand is that there is no libertarian solution inside the empire.
Right.
You don't understand that. Oh,
We
we
gotta
like the
start
free
from
movement
scratch.
of goods and services. Yeah, we all like the free movement of goods and services, bro.
He's got all the perfect libertarian answers from like 10 years ago that haven't
This is
apparently changed
30
at all.
years ago.
And on paper, yes, if we started from scratch and tried it Jacob Hornberger's way, it might go great. But we're not starting even remotely from scratch
No.
unless we keep pushing this over the edge.
Pass.
Let's move this on. Yeah, that's a great discussion. This is going to speak to something that you said about stop the steal, but I want to start this question with you, Mr. Tremont. And this goes to trust. This is what I deconstruct propaganda. And
I made a note of this at the 50-minute mark. This is noted as the Termont grilling. So I like this. Here comes Brad Binkley, who is from the Propaganda Report, who does great like investigative journalism. Like he goes deep. So he knows what these if you had a Fed in your mix, like what they might do, or what they might language they might use. Yeah. And I have a feeling that he is not trusting of Mr.
He's got his antenna up.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
I love your website. I think you got a lot of great information on there. But when you have a candidate comparison, you have Trump, the big lie, on the bottom of it. And that, to me, is going to lose a lot of potential voters because that is a mainstream propaganda technique designed to associate Trump with Hitler. Defend.
No, it's not.
It is. Absolutely.
No, it's not. It's not.
You're incorrect.
Yes, it is.
Okay, I think you're incorrect.
Well, defend that position. Defend that position.
Now the mainstream media is totally trustworthy. That's not what they're doing at all.
Defend saying it's a big lie. What is your reasoning?
Smotz, have you heard? Is that I'm not terribly familiar with this. Is there a Hitler connect to that?
Well, the big lie is, it not necessarily directly to Hitler, but that's where it starts with the big lie that the election was stolen or whatever, that increases and increases and increases white supremacy, misogyny, and everything up to, the big lie is kind of just the umbrella term for everything underneath or everything that comes after Biden stole the election. After I don't know, not necessarily directly a Hitler tie, but what Brad is saying is that is what the mainstream media uses to ramp it up to Hitler, and you're just going along with their narrative, which is very Reason and Cato type mentality.
Thank you, buddy.
The big lie is a moniker by mainstream media to characterize Trump's characterization of the 2022 election as having been fraudulent.
Right, it's designed to associate Trump with Hitler based on a negative they can't prove. That the CISA, the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Agency, said that it was the most secure election in American history, and that's basically the evidence you have.
Look at Termont, bro. He's
now
not
kids,
happy.
now young bucks.
Mm-hmm.
He dropped
This
the
is
lip.
great. He
Dropped
does
the lip.
not look thrilled. I love it.
And so they call it the big lie, so people won't have an open conversation about it, which leads to people getting their YouTube channels demonetized and kicked off. They get kicked off the platform for merely asking questions about legitimate issues, not even claiming there's widespread fraud, because there were counties in Georgia where there were 88 votes in Coffee County, I believe it was, that went to Biden, flipped to Trump, and then the judge cut it off and stopped letting them investigate it.
I'm sorry, but he looks like this is a guy that is so concerned about getting votes that you can tell he does not want to talk about voting.
Yeah.
He's not interested in the fact that, guys, your democracy doesn't exist. I don't think he wants to talk about that.
You know what face he's making? He's making the Bill Weld, Gary Johnson face in that one ad where there's the white background and they're like, really? Really? Is that what we're doing? Like, nobody's ever compared, as we all know, as has been documented, nobody has ever compared Mike Tremont to Gary Johnson.
Except right here.
Has anybody asked him what is Aleppo or where Aleppo
That was the
from?
first question I asked him when he came on my show.
Yeah. Nailed it.
That's
They
amazing.
didn't want anything to do with it. So did you know that?
Yes.
Okay, so explain the big lie.
Look, I'm sorry, Josh is killing it. Then the guy just next to him, Silent Bob over here, giving me all the look.
Is this something you believe this is a big lie? Like, do you think that?
No, I'm sorry. The big lie is a moniker developed by
No, I'm just trying to
media. What you asked me?
No, I
do you
do.
want an answer?
I do. I'm
No,
trying to
I
understand
don't.
your answer.
Okay. The big lie is a name developed by mainstream media.
Uh-huh.
That they attach.
That's the
to
problem
Donald
with you
Trump.
using it.
You're with me, right?
Yeah,
You're
no,
looking at me like
I just
this is
noticed.
news.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone in the room knows this already. They characterized Donald Trump as having, gone for the big lie. It was the name they gave to it, the big lie. I got to do the air quotes.
It's censorship propaganda designed to scare people.
By a lot of people, that's right. It is also true that Donald Trump knew that
Clint
the
Bale.
election was not nearly as fraudulent as he
So
characterized
you can read his
it.
mind.
Not nearly as
No, we
fraudulent.
have statements that were leaked that he made.
So it was fraudulent, but not as
that-
fraudulent as he said it. So that's the big lie.
Right.
The level of
Can you
fraudulence is less than Donald Trump says. So
Not
Right,
here,
totally
Big lie.
exaggerated
down
it.
here. So this is the lie. Shut the fuck up. Come
Very
on.
telling. Very telling. Yeah.
What statement?
I'm sorry, I'll have to get back to you on that, and I promise I
About
will.
that.
But I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, maybe you got a question for me?
That was the question. I've been telling you about trust, and I'm saying you have a great.
That was the question. Why'd you put that stupid fucking regime shit right in the middle of your website, cop? That's what the question was.
And as if we weren't already skeptical enough, the dude moves to fucking DC.
Tremont did?
Yes.
I
He's
did
not
not
in
know
Florida
that.
anymore. He's in DC now.
I bet that's convenient.
It's Virginia, right? The outskirts, Langley,
Yes,
somewhere
yes,
around there.
but
He's in
still.
Langley now.
Yeah, awesome.
He's one of the
Great
rich men
platform,
north of
though.
Richmond
When it comes
now.
to that seems a lot like you're doing a lot of censorship propaganda coming from the media, and I just
No,
want.
I don't think so. I don't think my website does anything to lead anyone to believe. Anyone who looks at that website with good faith, no one is gonna go to any one of my websites.
No one would go to my website and go, "That's a cop." No one would say that. No one would ever do that in the world.
Either libertarianintelligence.org, which is the new AI bot.
We know all about that AI bot, don't we, Dave?
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. It's doing great.
it's up and
It
running.
it doesn't know much, but it does know who the #1 and most qualified candidate for Libertarian president is. It knows that.
Without a doubt.
Knows that real
Without
well.
a doubt.
Which is the one that's most difficult to spell. So I encourage you to go to goldnewdeal.org. Anyone that goes to any of those three websites, no one who looks at those websites in good faith is going to come to the conclusion that Mike Tremont likes censorship. That's dopey. And I think, in fairness,
dopey, y'all.
I stand up to the First Amendment. I've always stood up to the First
Yeah.
Amendment. I've had a problem with the federal government policy since 1996 on how it treats the internet and censorship.
Look, I didn't like what the government was doing in 1996, and I only worked for it for another 20 years before I got out of there and was like, no way.
It was straight
Was
up
he
dopey,
talking
and it
about
made me
the
grumpy and
internet?
sneezy and sleepy all at the same time.
Right.
The internet in 1996 was one of the most free places to be. The fuck is this guy talking about? There was no restrictions
That's
on
the
the
truth.
internet in
That's the
1996.
I think A lot of your website is great. You have what is
MySpace.
the libertarian attitude and the medical healthcare policy on there. And you say on your website, if you ridicule others' personal choices, you have an authoritarian streak suggesting the rest of us should be skeptical of your bona fides for participating in a discussion of libertarian public policy and to check yourself. That to me also seems like, I mean, ridicule might be rude, but it's also protected under the First Amendment. It seems a little censorship-y rude.
No, I don't think so. If we're in a public policy debate, if we're in a public policy forum, if we're 7 dudes up here, for example.
Hypothetical.
Look, if 7 dudes want to get together and have a debate, just
This is a master debater with 7 dudes.
I know it's funny, man.
Okay, but this is the context of public policy. This is what we're all doing here. We're all talking public policy. If you have someone who aspires to a public policy role in public service, and you take it upon yourself to ridicule someone else's medical decisions, yeah, what are you doing? Like, really? Why would you think that in a public policy discussion, it's important to ridicule someone else's medical decisions? Medical decisions are personal, and we all make them for a lot of weird reasons and a lot of personal reasons. They should not be affected.
Would that include
by officials commenting on how you make your decisions?
Would that include preteens that opt for gender transition?
Damn, Clinton.
It would include the
McCarthy.
idea that where public policy should be, it should be, and where public policy shouldn't be, it shouldn't.
Nailed it.
Public
Yeah.
policy shouldn't be in your decision about as an
Where it
adult,
should be, it
what
should
to
be,
do
and
with
where
your
it
own
shouldn't be, it
body.
shouldn't be.
As a child, I firmly believe that an age of consent has to be reached before you do anything permanent. In this country, we've all come to the conclusion, culturally, not led by public policy. We've all come to the conclusion culturally. Remember, culture is upstream from public policy. We all agree with that. That we need an age of consent. Absolutely is. That's a practical matter. That's not I wish it were. We've come to the conclusion that we require age of consent for sexuality, and we should require an age of consent for permanent surgical procedures.
So specifically what I'm pushing back against is the ridicule aspect of that. I perceive that to be one of the few tools that would not be authoritarian, that we could actually help mold the culture of the place we want to live in.
Ron Paul was all
without
for the ridicule.
using state violence to do so. I think
And you should.
You're specifically talking about public policy. You're saying
Absolutely.
but in our personal lives, ridicule is acceptable.
Absolutely. You can ridicule me. I can ridicule you. I'm not going to do it, and I'm probably not going to do it at all in 2024 because I'm running for public
Call you
office.
dopey.
Everything I say needs to be taken in the context of public policy.
Okay.
And I don't believe it's appropriate for someone who aspires to public service or a public policy role to be ridiculing a fellow Americans or anyone else's decisions that they make about their personal lives.
I mean, what he's talking about is the vaccine. And
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but like this just, if our guy can't hammer NPCs, like, and the way that these guys frame it, like it's just a medical decision. Like you could do what you want, I'll do what I want. Like to say that during the COVID era is so tone deaf. It's like if you were walking down Kensington in Philly, right? Like, and there's all these zombie heroin addicts all around you, and you were just like, we should end the war on drugs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, of course,
On
you're
paper,
correct.
yes. Now
You're
look around
correct.
and read the room and tell me that it's still true.
Exactly. Read the room, read the time, get with it.
Yeah.
I just want a show of hands of everybody in the room that thinks in your lifetime there's ever been a secure presidential election.
Thanks,
Seems
Josh.
about right. One
Good call,
man.
buddy.
Perfect. That's it. I just wanted to see who all believed that. Thanks.
Okay.
Oh, all right.
Wasn't quite the mic drop he was looking for.
If
But
he
yeah.
got the COVID vaccine.
I think that's a great question. I think that's a
Did you guys catch that?
Toad brought it up.
What'd he say?
Toad just asked Termott if he got the COVID vaccine.
Right. And in Jacob Hornberger's yes, and in Jacob Hornberger's rant on his sad car ride home alone, he made it sound like Clint just grilled everyone and asked them all specifically, did you take the COVID vaccine with the intention, the McCarthy style intention of ruining their lives and bringing them to destitution? And Toad clown, shoeless clown, according to Jacob Hornberger, that brought it up. Like
Mr.
Jacob
Toad to you, sir.
Jacob Hornberger said that they went down the line and asked everybody and insisted that they answer it. And then hero Mike Termont was the only one who stood up and said, none of your business. And that made him a hero in Jacob Hornberger's mind forever. And he didn't know why the question didn't get down to him. And like his story doesn't add up in any way whatsoever. And we were talking about this on my show yesterday, Dave, with Clint. Like, if Jacob Hornberger was right, I have some thoughts. And I don't think that Clint did the right thing if what Jacob Hornberger was saying was right. But watching it last night, it's like, you're full of shit. You're just full of shit, because that didn't happen at all. Even later, when he grills Jacob Hornberger a little bit harder, he doesn't ask that question. He says, well, you don't have to answer this, but I'm curious if anybody would want to share. Like, you don't have to. That's the McCarthyism, the McCarthy style interrogation that he gave them. This question, he melded them together somehow in his brain between like 45 minutes of this question here that Clown Toad asked him across the room, and an actual non-question that Clint kind of gently brought up later. But
to everyone.
Yeah.
I think there's probably only like 4 candidates on this panel right now that would have abolished the CDC. I'm going to be completely honest with you. And I think that like Mike Termont is not one of them. He probably would have called it public service, if I'm being honest with you, because that's just, his background. He calls being a police officer public service. Why not Fouchy too? I don't know.
Yep.
Side note, in a couple of weeks, I'm going to be in North Carolina in Clint's position right now. So if you guys have any questions that you'd like asked, leave them in the comments, or you guys on the panel, let me know, and I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, ask him if he does it all for the nookie.
Yeah, and
I'm sure that'll come up. Hey, how's your Attila guy doing?
He's doing fine. I just texted him the other day. Actually, I had Finn McKenty on my show the other day, and I asked him to be his VP, and he turned it down, unfortunately. But
yeah,
I'm still working.
Did Franzak do it all for the nookie?
Oh, he does it all for the nookie for sure.
Constantly.
Yep.
On OnlyFans regularly.
Free market capitalism, right?
Monetize that shit.
So I just want to say, Clint got shit for this. Toad's obviously getting shit for this. And I think that this is the best thing I've seen in any one of these debates. I can't believe anybody would have an issue with this. The fact that these guys are offended. How dare you ask me about a personal medical decision? Like, you sound like a fucking loser.
How dare you as a presidential candidate who's striving and clawing to represent me on a political stage against Donald Trump and Joe Biden? How dare you get offended by any fucking question that a libertarian asks you? Like anybody asks you, let alone a libertarian who's on your side and just wants the best.
It's crazy that it took this long to get to this question. Thank God, Toad. Appreciate you, buddy.
Excellent question. I'm really glad you asked it. And this is the answer. And this is the answer that people need to live with. It's no one else's business. Maybe I got 0
hero status.
Maybe I got 30.
So yes.
No. You're going to have to live with the truth. And the truth is, I'm not going to tell you.
You're going to have to live with the truth. And the truth is, I'm not going to tell you. You triple vaxxed punk, bro. Just fucking admit, just say it. Yeah, I got vaxxed, and here's the reason why. No, I didn't get vaxxed because that's a fucking fascist jab or whatever. Like, why play this coy shit about my medical decisions? It's so gay.
This dude's boosted AF. Let me tell you.
Probably, but again, if it was the way that Jacob Hornberger said it, Mike Termont had the right response. Him saying, none of your fucking business would be the right answer. If Clint was going down the line saying, tell me, or I'll ruin your life, then that was the right response, and he would have been a hero. But that's not even remotely what happened. So
I disagree. No, answer the fucking question.
No, disagree.
I want to hear.
No, I want to fucking know.
Moving on to a very hot topic that is kind of fringe, but I think extraordinarily important. Thomas Massey has released the J6 pipe bomb surveillance footage, and it appears to show a plainclothes cop identifying the bomb and then calmly walking away. Even after this device had been identified, they allowed women and children to walk past it without warning. This has led many in our community to question the J6 narrative and openly discuss the possibility
I'm gonna actually pass that a little bit because I think they actually tend to agree on the J6 stuff.
They do.
Mostly, yeah. Yeah, they tend. Yeah, they. Which is kind of neat.
Shockingly, they do. Probably because they're reading the room.
Right. Let's check this out.
Qualified immunity.
Okay. I did not expect there to be unanimity there, so I'm happy to see it.
This is shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a moment of unity there. That's great.
Yay! Libertarians agreed on one thing once ever.
So this next portion is they cover astroturfing movements, which I thought is cool. That's more Brad Binkley kind of, conspiracy stuff. Infiltration of your movement and your party, and Social Security, which is a Jacob Hornberger all-star moment.
Pardon them all and go after the guy who committed the murder.
Mr. Rectenwald, and then I want to hear everybody's thoughts on this. All of you guys talk about localism, grassroots movements to build at the local level, which is where the opportunities to get power are. Those in power also are aware of that, which is why we see astroturf movements and why movements that are authentic, once they grow to a certain point, become a target of co-option. What would you do? What would be your plan to try and prevent people from joining an astroturf movement that was just helping the people that are still in power and avoid getting co-opted, let's say, group?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't do
RFK.
anything to forbid people from joining a astroturf movement. I know where these movements come from, and I would identify them. They're coming from the UN. They're coming from the World Economic Forum. These are the extra-governmental bodies that are actually infiltrating local governments today, and they're trying to implement 2030 agenda criteria and mandates on the public. So I would identify those particular movements using the Agenda 2030, which they're trying to use on a local level and drive this down to the very local level. The only way to resist this is by having real libertarians in positions of power at the local level.
About the biggest news sources that are in the liberty sphere and think tanks and whatever, they're all almost clearly carrying water for the regime. Reason, Cato, those guys. So I think the movement is clearly already hijacked. AstroTurf. And of course, we do have, we have Chase up here. He's a progressive. Michael. You never know.
You got Chase over here. He's a progressive. You got Mike over here. Cop, dude. I can't tell you how grateful I am for this.
Dave, you were pushing me into doing this, and this is exactly what I would have done. I'm not taking I would not have done it this dryly, autistically, this perfectly. I'm not trying to pretend like I'm nearly as good as Toad, which brings me to tears thinking about the fact that Toad
isn't wearing shoes and you're still not as good as he is.
There was a point where I went to Porkfest and Toad was just a guy and he recognized me, and now Toad is the torchbearer for the Libertarian Party.
I don't mean to alarm anybody, but Tower Gang is running shit. Like, look at this
conversation that me and Reed Coverdale had at Porkfest last year. It's in the documentary thing. If we have any credibility at all in this movement, then our movement has failed.
Yep.
That's not as much a comment on the movement as it is us. But if we have any credibility, then you're doing it wrong.
If people are concerned about RFK coming in and sweeping delegates, that's just not going to happen. What you should actually look into is Tower Gang, if they want to, which I'm sure they want to. Toad can come in and just sweep and get hell of votes.
Emo
if
Caucus,
he keeps doing shit like this,
push Toad, and I will make the videos. I will go all in for Toad. I told Toad on Twitter last night, if he shows up to the North Carolina debate, I will absolutely endorse him. Possibly from the stage where I'm supposed to be neutral. I don't know, but I'm in, and he can be our Dave Smith. That's where we are. Toad can be our Dave Smith.
I love it. Yeah, people owe this man a huge thank you for his selflessness in running for president. If it wasn't for Porkfest, this might have never happened. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and some of these guys, these poor guys, they actually want to run for president. Some of them think they're actually running for president. And here comes Toad. Here comes Toad, who knows he is not. He knows the game, and because of that, he is free.
And
his
yes,
soul
and Josh
It's
is
nice. It's
Josh
nice when
is
you don't
halfway
feel so
between.
like serious about it. That was my race too. I was a little bit like, whatever will happen, but you can get out and say those messages and be a little nuts and kind of, do your own thing.
Right. I was kind of hoping for that with Josh, but he's kind of halfway between where he still wants to play ball to an extent. He's got the Toad fire in him. He's kind of jealous of Toad right now, but he still has to play it a little bit safe because he's still being a politician. Toad is not being a politician at all, which is why it's working.
Yeah, I'd ask for some of the. I think once you play the game, Josh is playing the game, and so is Rec. So yeah, they both are a little bit. They both could learn some shit from Toad.
Josh and Rec have somebody to answer to. Toad has Harrigang to answer to, who are like, yeah, the Libertarian Party's fucking retarded. So, yeah.
Yeah, what a guy, man.
Get into floor. So this movement itself has already been called.
I just want to say, progressive is the insurance I use, not the political philosophy which I aspire to.
Boom. Got him with an insurance joke.
If you want to know where the infiltration comes from, you can follow the money. This is very clear. I mean, you can see who's funding these things. We've seen and you've got to be very suspicious when, in fact, there are leftists involved. Because they're often funded.
I love this. I don't know if Rec knows exactly what they're talking about kind of right now, but like he's like, no, seriously, if you guys have leftists around, I would look out for those guys.
Anybody see any leftists around? Maybe to my right.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Well, yeah, the one other thing I would point out is that like one of the most obvious examples of this would have been in the 2016 election when Bill Weld was the VP nominee of the Libertarian Party, and he's a total military industrial complex Raytheon guy. So how did that happen?
How did that happen? Thanks, man.
Subverted in a lot of ways, and there's certainly entities that are probably operating for the government that are involved in the libertarian movement and the LP, and that includes Nick Sarwark as well.
Fuck yeah, dude. He's me. This is he's my spirit animal.
Yep,
oh, and by the way, Nick Sarwark too. It's so awesome at the very end. It's so awesome.
Yes, he is like the only one that's not completely tone deaf on this entire panel.
Yeah, and look, dude, these guys, Josh and him, are having the best time. Like everybody
you
else
can see it.
like,
they are laughing. Everyone else, I mean, even Lars is smirking a little bit right there. He's having a little bit of fun with this too. But like, you know what, guys, like Toad, he's the real deal. He's the funniest fucking human I've ever met in my life.
Yes, all the other guys know that they're not going to be president, but they think that they might be president. Josh Smith knows that he's not going to be president, so it brings him down to where he can be a little bit more free, but he thinks he might get the nomination. Toad knows that he's not even getting the nomination, so he is the freest motherfucker on that stage.
Yeah, he can say what the fuck he wants.
Nice.
He can shit talk the LP, whatever.
It's a necessary function, though, for these debates. Because he grounds the rest of these jive turkeys.
And they need it.
It definitely brings it back to reality.
Well, I think first of all,
else.
somebody's going to be brave enough to campaign on calling some of these NGOs and PACs and boards like CFR and APAC and the WEF what they are, right? Terrorist organizations that use force, fraud, and sometimes violence to get what they want politically on behalf of foreign elites and governments. Okay, this is something that's so very important because a lot of this stuff comes from those areas. It's not always the federal government of the United States doing these things. A lot of the time, it's a lot of these NGOs and PACs and CFR. I mean, and military industrial contractors who know they've been caught, inserting themselves into protests and stuff as well. So, but going further than that, we need to talk about the reality of if we were to win the presidency. We need to talk about how we don't have the power to abolish some of these federal agencies as a president, right? The Federal Bureau of Investigation, the ATF, the CIA, the NSA, these terrible, horrible organizations that have grown so big that they have all this time to go and chase mothers at school board meetings to call them terrorists and infiltrate Catholic groups, okay, which we know they've done recently. So we need somebody who's going to campaign on reducing the size of those.
Josh is good. He is good at connecting to the layman.
He's he's talking real too. Like I appreciate everything that he just said. I think that he delivered it well. And I wish that he had a shot of winning the nom.
Agreed. And this isn't even. We could talk more about odds later, but I mean, yeah, I think really, guys, the Dave Smith deficit that happened after he pushed the peace button, like that really hurt everybody. And that means Rec, Josh, Clint, anybody who's on that end of things. The vacuum that happened when Dave pieced out, I think is going to be a rude awakening.
I think Josh brought it back to reality here. I think he nailed it on the head. Like he's like, the president only can do so much, right? Like we're trying to compete for the presidency, whatever, the nom. Okay, cool. The presidency can't do half the shit that you want it to fucking do. All right. Like if we're being real here, and he kind of just brings it back down to earth. I really appreciate that. I think he handled this question really well.
Me too, bud.
Things by that max allowable number, 75%. And that's what we need to be campaigning on. We need to be campaigning on, hey, when you vote for us, if we were to win, we would reduce the size of these terrible federal organizations by at least 75%.
Just a quick follow-up. That was the same proposal that Vikram Swamy was
Right.
making. Do you agree with him on that?
I do. Absolutely, 100%. I think Vivek was absolutely right. I don't know if he's sincere. He came out of nowhere. I didn't know much about Vivek prior to that. I know that Vivek's past history, even
replacing one Republican or one Democratic politician for another. That's how you get into the conversation about the Fed.
We'll go here and we'll get to you.
Yeah, I think every member of this party needs to ask himself and herself a very important question.
Let's go.
What kind of presidential campaign do you want?
Probably a libertarian one.
That's actually what this whole show is about. And I agree with you. Finally, I'll give you that. I agree with that. What kind of presidential campaign do you want? What's the point? This about? What is the point of this? Yeah. Everybody who's watching this, anybody here, think about that. We have a unique opportunity here to get what we want, or at least try.
Do you want one's going to be talking about conspiracies here and there? Do you want one?
Yeah, I fucking do.
Yes,
So that's
absolutely. Yes.
the case for what we believe in. We're trying to achieve freedom here. And my big beef with these guys, okay, they want to abolish the CIA and the FBI.
Is that they're not libertarian enough. They don't say the things from 30 years ago.
Right.
They give everybody wants to the question, and I'm just going to keep bringing it back to healthcare and libertarianism. Liberty. All we're doing is selling liberty. If we're not selling, like, all he has to offer is nobody has ever sold just the basic bitch libertarian message from 30 years ago. Nobody's ever done it. So if we do it, it'll work.
Real libertarianism has never been tried. That's the only problem.
It's never been tried. Like communism. True communism has never been tried.
This message might have been appealing 25 years ago, but it's certainly not in modern time. He lives in a completely different world.
I kind of respect it because I would like to hear a Jacob Hornberger give the basic bitch libertarian message.
We just did 4 years ago, and it was actually good.
But I would rather have that to some extent than Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's giving 1%, or let's say 20%, to be generous, 20% libertarian message. If all we're going for is message, then he's going to give this much message and a whole lot of other bullshit. He would get, if he had the same notoriety as Robert F. Kennedy Jr., these are the things we have to weigh. The message, if all we're going to get from the Libertarian Party is the message and nobody's going to get elected or get on the debate stage, then great, let's do the best message. It's still not Jacob Hornberger, but
right. Yeah, sure. Yo, and even RFK is he's a Zionist shill, but he's not open borders, right? And he's a champion of the COVID regime.
Yes.
So I'm just saying, for the current time, yeah, like Ben, you're totally right with the guns and stuff, bro. But like,
sure,
he can't make an executive order that Houdini's your guns away. It's like,
sure, especially in New Hampshire, by the way, we nullified federal gun laws here. So
right, yeah. So like that kind of stuff, he has shitty opinions, but he won't be able to affect your life that way. You know what I mean? Without
I'm kind of pissed that Toad didn't call Hornberger a progressive, because when it gets into borders, especially, he's
more progressive.
Yeah,
he is
the worst. Yeah, here we go.
I agree with continuing the socialism of Social Security and Medicare for the next 25 years. They call it an off-ramp. They want socialism reform, just like they want immigration reform. Let me finish. The problem with reform is it can't garner votes. And Justin Amash has discovered that, which is why he's going back to the Republican.
Justin Amash was waiting for you guys to just abolish Social Security and open the border up.
That's
and you
what it
didn't
was.
do it, so he went to the Republican Party.
Yes,
So
he was
went to
waiting for the
Republican
open
Party.
border, and then he went to the Republican Party.
What a fucking retard. I'm sorry, guys.
It's painful.
Like, I am so pissed about this too, because okay, I don't know. Are you willing to give me like a little side tangent? It's going to be brief.
Go ahead.
Do it.
Go.
Okay, so like here in New Hampshire, we have a shit ton of state representatives that like are libertarians. They call themselves libertarians, ANCAPs, whatever. They're elected and they're actually doing shit like nullifying federal gun laws, abolishing no-knock warrants, doing things that libertarians want to do. And Libertarian Party people in the LP don't want to even like recognize this as legitimate. Meanwhile, Justin Amash, he switched his party affiliation from Republican to Libertarian after he was already elected. Didn't change the fact that he was Libertarian the entire time. And, these people are still very Libertarian we have like 15 to 20% of our state reps here in New Hampshire that are Libertarians, that call themselves Libertarians, and on Justin Amash, dude, like, no one should shit on Justin Amash for going back and running for Senate or whatever as a Republican. Like, I think it's absurd. The dude is going to make legitimate progress for liberty.
That's going to be better than all the Republicans at the very least.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
I love that the Prags have to do this dance with Justin Amash because they have this thing where like the Mises Caucus are the people who are like the Republican infiltrators. Yet, I mean, there's no evidence of that really, but like, I think it's funny that this guy keeps going.
is more libertarian than the Libertarian Party of Colorado. They think Jared Polis is more libertarian than we are.
That's amazing.
Right.
That's
and
just
someone was
anyone
Jared
would call
inside
Polis
information about that, and I'm like, I wonder if that was his friend Justin. No offense, but I'm
Right.
like, how would he know inside baseball about music?
and they hate Massey too. It's like, but don't you understand that the label doesn't mean anything, and that's why that Amash can do good things in the LP. He didn't, but he could have, and he can do good things in the GOP.
He had an
too.
exploratory committee. They did a lot of good work. Right there at the end.
They explored the shit out of that and then thought, you know what?
Lewis and Clark.
Out of it.
Yeah. All right, back to
Sorry, yeah.
No, you're all good, man. Thanks.
Party to run for Senate because a reform-oriented message.
So I heard you say a number of times in debates that if you cut off Social Security and
I love that he's playing the everyman. He established that in the beginning. Like, talk to me like I'm a normal person because I've heard you say a lot.
And then Mike Dermott reads that later as, I heard you're a Trump supporter.
Right, amazing.
Later on, he just laughs in his face.
and like cold turkey, then everybody just be fine. Like immediately, everybody be fine. And the evidence you cited was because the slaves were fine the day after the Civil War. And that just doesn't seem like a legitimate argument.
Look at the face. He's like, yeah, keep going. Yeah, I did say that.
Yeah.
Am I mischaracterizing the argument that you made?
Are you kidding me? That's not a legitimate argument. There is no Social Security. There is no Medicare. There is no government assistance because Americans rejected this socialism.
The slaves were okay the day after the Civil War.
There was nobody dying in the streets. No 90-year-olds dying in the streets. There was nobody dying from cancer.
Nobody died from cancer.
Nobody died from cancer after they freed the slaves.
Civil War?
As soon as they freed the slaves, nobody was dying in the streets from cancer.
Yo, I'm triggered right now.
Yup.
Like, let me just say,
yeah,
this dude is a fucking idiot. Jesus,
this is crazy.
Christ.
Can you imagine? Like, dude, he's talking about the Civil War, and this guy, you know, I'm not gonna front. He's smarter than I am. He should fucking understand.
I don't think that's true.
I think it is.
Well, look, thanks, Dave.
Dave's really dumb.
I appreciate that. Yeah, sort of average intelligence at best. No, I just mean that, like, that he knows that at the turn of the Civil War, there were not 100 million dependents. Like, there wasn't that term dependent.
Right.
Now you do have that. It's like you have a heroin addict, right? In like who's on the verge of death. It's like okay, you could unplug all that shit and stop the, the drip, giving him a little bit to like get off, whatever you call that, to get off opiates and shit. Or you could just unplug it, or you could like take some care with this thing. But like to pretend that we're in the same scenario right now, that you could just abolish Social Security, just like to every grandma and grandpop that's like hooked up to some machine or like dialysis, or it's so dumb, bro.
To even bring up like the Civil War era is completely tone deaf. Who the fuck is talking about the Civil War right now? These guys were living off a hardtack. We have like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Jesus Christ.
It
what
is incredible.
This guy even talking about?
Also, like,
put him back in the home.
This is a really gray area. Like, I'm hanging out over here with a benign brain tumor. I'm not dying. It's fine. It's not fine, but I'm not dying.
It's not great. It's
However,
not first choice.
Like, I don't know who would you like would you like to crowdfund my MRIs for the rest of my life?
Oh, he thinks she'll be just
$30,000 a pop.
A lot of them on stage think that's the way to go.
Do they bring up direct primary care doctors and all that stuff? Is that what they're trying to get at? No. Yes.
No, as far as like Medicare for like people like me, like find me a private insurer that I can afford with a brain tumor.
So, and now we get into this like land of the lost, libertarian land, where we're forced to have this conversation.
Where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah.
Right. Well, like, look, not only are none of these guys going to get elected president, but definitely not Jacob Hornberger is going to get elected president. But we are all forced to pretend and debate what it would be like if he did. And that is a waste of time. That's why this debate is so special, because Clint and Toad came in and shattered
and asked real questions, reading the room, reading the culture, knowing what's happening in the world today. They asked the real questions.
And can I be honest? And like, we just ask, like, if libertarians actually did want like a Javier Milei, would he look like this dude, or would he look like fucking Toad?
Yep.
He would look like Toad.
Exactly.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it, but you know,
neither of them have ever been laid.
Hashtag LP debates so white. You guys need a little bit of flavor.
And Toad shits on Milei all the time on Twitter or whatever. But like, if we were like as a party expecting somebody like that radical that was gonna like just come in and sweep and just like take over, it's gonna
That's
look like
what I want.
Toad.
I want somebody picking it up. That's what it needs. If it's gonna have any value at all, it needs somebody who's saying uncomfortable truths that are very. I mean, they might be right wing, right leaning, whatever talk points according to the mainstream media, but we need somebody who's asking questions that non-autistic, normal lay people that are voting left or right would be asking.
Absolutely.
It's not going to be this guy.
He's not far off with like anything that Rand said. Like, I mean, Toad's fucking nailing it. Like,
we need to get Toad sponsored. That's the only thing that's stopping him.
Let's go. This entire stream tonight, I'm sorry, Dave. It needs to be just the get Toad elected stream. And I am all in on whatever that takes. The guy who will not show up to anything that's like more than 500 miles away from his home. We need to get that guy as our candidate, because that's our best shot. That's literally our best shot at getting any attention right now. Get Toad. I don't like to say it. It makes me more emo and makes me more suicidal and want to kill myself. Much like Toad or maybe Rectenwald would. But it's very sad that we've come to this point where I laughed at you, Ben. I laughed at you when you proposed the idea of Toad. I was like, surely we can do better. We can't. We can't. So let's go. Let's
fucking go. Like, put all your fucking cards on the table. And
the only, as we're enjoying this Toad high right now, because he's giving us all the red meat.
We're licking the Toad, getting high.
Yeah, exactly. As we're enjoying this, though, I need you guys to understand.
Campaign slogan,
and
lick the Toad.
This is really important because Toad has no chance. Rec has a long road. The guy.
I like an underdog story.
Yo, the guy to beat right now is Chase Oliver.
Yep.
I'm telling you, because a house divided cannot stand. your enemies are circling you, and they are motivated because they hate you. They hate.
Hey, dude, I'm
Mises.
going to
They
be
hate-
completely honest with you. Chase Oliver's camp is divided too. And it's divided between Chase Oliver and somehow Lars Mapstead,
Bro,
which is
listen.
nothing like Chase Oliver.
Ben, I got news for you, bro, and I don't know anything for certain, but I've already seen the pamphlet that those guys put out. They haven't made it Facebook official yet, but Lars is going to be the financial engine behind the prag machine that is Chase Oliver, that is the antithesis.
no way.
That's what's going to happen. Absolute. Okay, I'll bet you tonight. Mark my word, dude. They've already put out a little door knocker together. Hi, I'm Chase. I'm running for president. Hey, my name's Lars. I'm running for president too. Check us
I'm
both
running
out.
against him. Check us out together.
I know a lot of things that happen behind the scenes as well with Lars, and I don't believe that to be one of them. I'm just saying.
I want to believe you so bad, and I'm gonna actually put that in my back pocket. I hope you're right.
I'm not going to bet you because I don't want you to pay me anything.
No. It would just be a friendly bet. It's just that's the hunch that I get. I get the impression that Lars will do whatever it takes to get on the ticket. He's already spent probably close to $1 million.
Lars has the lowest common denominator. Like nothing against him. He's the anti-rigor. Sorry, are we allowed to say that on this? He's all about the rigging of the system. And he's very anti-rigor. But the prags, I can see how they would get behind him.
Relax with the hard R.
Which you missed it, man.
Riga.
You missed it, but I actually kind of stand for Lars earlier in the show. I actually think he's a great candidate. To be completely honest.
Okay. So they're kind of teaming up together, and I can see the prags gravitating to either one because they don't have like a hard stance on anything. Lars is like, just get the riggers out of here, and Chase Oliver. I don't know what's funny about that. Chase Oliver's a really good politician, and I say that for better and worse. He's playing the game really well, and I don't hold it against him at all. I have nothing against Chase, but
the fault lines have already been created, and you got, it sucks because they're beefing a little bit, but you got Rec and Josh, and then you got Termat, the hero of Hornberger, and then you got Lars and Chase. That's how it breaks out. Those are the little teams.
Lars has the money. Chase has all of the progressive qualities that would make a prag gravitate to him, and he speaks really well. He's kind of the Vivek Ramaswamy. If he was Democrat, he's the young Barack Obama of the Libertarian Party. And I respect it. No, Chase is.
Oh, yes.
Lars is the guy with money who's just standing there like, I've got the message of, hey, you don't like when people call you names when you wear a mask, right? And you people don't like when people call you names for not wearing a mask, right? So let's stop calling people names, bro.
Just be nice.
Just be nice.
It'll be fine.
Like that's great, and I agree with him. I
don't
completely.
No, call
yeah,
them
that's mean. I don't like mean people.
It's fine.
But that doesn't do anything for anybody. What? Call them all the F word.
Yeah,
it's fine.
F those guys.
They can inspire us. If they can end slavery from one day to the next in this ex-slave state, we can end welfare, warfare, state serfdom. But let me tell you something. The problem is the lack of faith of libertarians in freedom. In order to start a revolution out there for freedom, we need a revolution here that restores that faith that freedom really does work. You don't have to continue socialism.
Believe harder.
Years.
I just a quick follow-up.
Ironically, he's a minarchist. Like he believes in government and that it's legitimate. But
he doesn't act like it at all. He acts like if you believe in government at all, then you're a socialist. And it's very dogmatic, and he called out Clint Russell for being too dogmatic, but this is entirely religion. You're not as libertarian as me because you're not open borders, you're not for ending Social Security. That makes you lesser libertarian. Maybe it does, but that's very religious thinking to be like, well, on paper this is our religion and you're going against that. He's arguing for the libertarian position. He's arguing for the libertarian candidate by being the most libertarian. Maybe you are, but that doesn't mean it will work.
It's just crazy.
Work. That's the thing. He's living off of donors just to pay his rent right now. So
yep.
But how do we get to this place where all of these guys up on stage, and I bet everybody on this call right now would want to like if you asked, hey, is Social Security legit? Should it be abolished? You would go, yeah. Yes.
time. Let's talk about it.
Right. Like, and you could, whatever, you could come up with interesting ways in like imaginary scenarios how you would do that. Yeah, you get the old people, take care of them, and then young people can go off. But then you're forced to like talk about the hypothetical plan for you to create an off-ramp for a yeah, it's so bizarre. I just feel like it's a circle jerk that only Hornberger likes.
Given that these people, many of them, have paid into it for their entire lives, and we perceive taxation to be theft, how would it not be insult to injury to say that these people that have paid into it, they do not deserve any of that?
Once again, Clint, the premise that you phrased is
Here you are once again, Clint, with your super right-winger attitudes coming right at me.
This is actually not a difficult concept. Like, this is actually something that we as libertarians, as a party, have helped like actually like put into place in real time. Maybe not on Social Security, but like Riverside, California. I used to be part of LP California. I'm still a lifetime member there. Jeff Hewitt was the county supervisor in Riverside, California. And this dude privatized all of their benefits, turned them basically from a public pension into a 401k type system, a private system. And they're ending up with surpluses. The people are retiring with like a better outcome. And there's been no downfall to people who have been putting into the system for years, because there is a way to actually counteract that imbalance there. And like, I don't think that Hornberger's even thought about this position whatsoever. I think he's just like saying words essentially.
Everything is just go back to and you'll see this when we get to the real interrogation of Clint on Jacob Hornberger, where he very politely asks the panel what they think about the origins of COVID.
I do appreciate that. I think this next clip, we're entering into the COVID, the vax chat, and then maybe entering into some civil rights territory. So we'll see what they have to say.
So let me keep going. It says, it has now been nearly 4 years since COVID was unleashed upon the world. I would like to hear from each of you as to what you believe happened. And yes, despite you saying we shouldn't go to conspiracy theorist realm, I think it's mandatory that we do. So I would like to know what you believe happened, from the origins to the lockdowns to the vaccines, and what the punishment should be for those involved. If willing, I'd also like to know, you don't have to answer this, as you said, if any of you received mRNA COVID gene therapy and why is so. You don't have to answer it.
You don't have to answer it twice. Yes.
So polite.
Yes.
So professional. And Jacob Hornberger, through that hissy fit where he tagged everybody. You tagged everybody to make sure they saw it?
Not only that, but again, by his story, he asked this question, insisted that they answer it, and if they didn't answer it, they would be disqualified from running for president. And then they went down the line, and then Mike Tremont gave the answer to this hypothetical question that Jacob Hornberger made up, gave the answer, none of your business. And that made Mike Tremont Jacob Hornberger's hero. Supposedly that is what happened after this question, but we watched that happen 40 minutes ago, like I said.
Good.
From Toad. Like, just it all just blends together in his mind. As Clint pointed out on my show yesterday, Jacob Hornberger recorded those messages about Social Security and COVID and the other one, the border thing. He recorded those messages on the way home because he knew that if any of this came to light, that people would call him out. And so he wanted to get ahead of it in the media. He wanted to get ahead of it and make Clint out to be this bad guy. And he sold me on it because he did a really good job at politicianing and convincing people that Clint was this McCarthyist style, whatever piece of shit right-winger. Clint, my friend, he convinced me. I'm like, if he's right, if he's telling you the truth, then Clint, you have some explaining to do. And then Clint came on and explained it. And it turns out, here we are. And Jacob Hornberger, as a fair moderator that will be moderating Jacob Hornberger's debate in a couple weeks, Jacob Hornberger lied because he blended these together. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, thanks. You're right. It's important. He put out a 30-minute rant, like guy in truck style rant against Clint, who is a totally professional, important moderator in these LP debates. And
That's like Praggy. That's like what the Praggies do.
But to
really
be fair,
good.
he did that after like every event he's gone to so far. Like he literally does this every single time. He did this after LP Connecticut's convention, which I was at. And he just complained because everybody was against his stance on open borders.
Yes, but he said that Clint was a clearly right-wing infiltrator who came in McCarthyist style and interrogated them, trying to destroy their lives when he asked them all if they took the vaccine. And
I am not defending Jacob Hornberger here.
I know. I know you're not. I'm just attacking him.
The guy's a fucking idiot. So.
No, we're defending Clint because Clint was under attack. And
like,
you know,
I cannot believe, I still cannot believe that I supported and actually like fucking like spoke out for Hornberger just a couple of fucking years ago.
I can't believe it either. I stand more behind Vermin Supreme back in those days than I can respect you supporting Hornberger back in those days.
Dan, honestly, like you should just claim the title of most consistent motherfucker we know. Because like honestly,
as Tom McDonald would call me, I'm the Libertarian Illuminati because I am the most consistent mototherfucker that you know. But go ahead.
You are, dude. You've been right. You're right every time. Just across the board. So
He is, and he's that way like in real life.
Privacy, but I'm gonna ask it anyways. Go ahead. You can start off.
I'm not gonna suck your dick.
Security problem. Question. This election is going to be about who's got the guts to tell the American people the truth, and that is that Social Security is evil. Social Security is a plan that brings young people into a system and promises them a negative rate of return, if any at all, and does so knowingly, and robs them of a financial future that they could be able to achieve. It costs them, average Americans, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of their lives. And this system is propagated just because it was designed badly. Now the government doesn't know what to do to keep it going other than bringing in...
there it is again. This is how we talked about the Federal Reserve. Like, not for, you know, lack of effort, not for, you know, there's good people at the inside of the Federal Reserve and the IRS and Social Security. It's not that the government didn't have this good idea in the beginning, just want to make sure that you were going to be good, but it just didn't work out. Like, it's never the murder cult. It's never nefarious.
It's interesting that we've got the Prague split on like a Mike Tremont and a Jacob Hornberger, because Mike Tremont is like just playing the game, and Jacob Hornberger is like, just let the borders be open, let take away grandma's Social Security, and Mike Tremont is like the other side of the allowable opinion, let's say. And then we got Josh Smith out here, who's a little bit outside of it, and Toad, who's just like, fuck it all.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, like so Mike Tremont, like if he had never been a cop, maybe.
Yep.
Or
No, yeah,
like
you're
worked
right.
on the
Calls it
George
public
W. Bush
service.
campaign, or worked for the federal
Sure.
government, or anything. Yeah.
Yeah, but like he's like, you know, he
He's
essentially
got good answers.
and he has good answers. He does have good answers. When I interviewed him for the Emo Caucus, which, like I said, that video will come out in just a little bit. I'm still editing it, but it is wild. Like I asked him if he would change the national anthem for the Black Parade by My Chemical Romance, and for some reason he said absolutely not. You know, but his answer was, I was like, as long as he never sings the national anthem ever again, I'm fine with the answer.
He killed that shit. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Gold.
Take some notes on that one. Yeah.
This is
More
inside
people
baseball,
to
obviously.
abuse.
So like,
So it's truly an evil program. Regarding COVID, what happened is the American people were taxed. That money was taken from us and from a lot of people around the world and a lot of people around the government. It was pulled up at the federal level and was sent through 2 layers of difficult to name multinational corporations, and finally landed in part, as well as a lot of other places, by the way, which is not unimportant, in part landed in a laboratory in Wuhan, which...
He's given like the factual breakdown of like how it started like 4 years later. Like, who cares, dude? Like the history of it. I don't need the history. I want to see you pissed. I want to see, if you want to lead me, then you need to go, yo, we're getting fucking justice. Fuck climate justice. I'm getting some COVID justice.
Yep.
You know, I want Nuremberg too. This guy's telling me like, oh, well, they told us it was in a wet market, and then it
Nuremberg
wasn't.
2 is too far. Guantanamo is way too far. Sorry.
No, honestly, no. Some of these people do have that attitude. It's like, you know, well, it was 4 years ago.
What difference at this point does it make?
You know what I'm saying? Seriously, 4 years ago.
I mean, it's literally Jacob Hornberger's response that we're going to get to soon, where he says that it's literally irrelevant.
I had that actually pulled up just for him, but I figured Termont would get one too.
Yo, I haven't even seen this yet. You're spoiling shit, Dan.
Sorry. I'm more autistic. It's fine.
Please, God, let's find out that this was a mistake. We don't know this yet. Leaked the virus. The Chinese government found out about it relatively early, decided to cover it up at the expense of thousands, if not millions of lives.
And they just
Millions.
discovered it. They just
Thousands.
discovered it. The Chinese government discovered it. Oh, look, we didn't know that this was happening, but we should react to it. This is brand new information, said the Chinese government.
Immediately, and possibly dozens of millions of lives in the long run if they had done a better job of containing it, which would have required them being honest about it up front. What are we up to now? 2 months later, it finds its way to Europe and to the United States, where the federal government started learning about it, and
He just talks
almost
weird.
immediately
That's
started
weird.
lying
He
to
just
us about it.
the way his lips move, just I don't like it.
He talks like a police officer. That's what he talks like.
He talks like if Gary Johnson was a police officer. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
That makes sense,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah.
It internally embarrassed itself into having information that it realized it should have made public weeks earlier. It, in my view, illegally pressured the pharmaceutical industry to begin working on a vaccine, and it did so through a couple of ways.
The government pressured Big Pharma. Yo, you guys need to crank this out. Right.
Bro,
oh
you're being
my
a crazy
God.
conspiracy theorist right now.
Yo, the government was like, yo, you better finish this shit. I know you don't want to, but you better do it.
That are completely unethical. One is that we have standing federal law that says, you ask for the whole story, so I'll wind up and someone else can take it from here.
I'll follow for you.
The federal legislation was already on the books protecting the pharmaceutical industry from related liability, which undermines the ability of markets to work as they should. And in this particular case, it was particularly damaging because it brought to market a vaccine that had no business coming to market when it did.
That's what I'll follow up with, and I want everybody to factor this in to your answer as well.
Still didn't
If you were
answer the question
president
of whether
and
he
that
took it
vaccine
or
came to
not.
market, and
He's never
they're
gonna
looking
answer
for
that
you to make
question.
a recommendation or to go to get the jab on television, what would you do?
Well, you can't recommend that someone take it. What you can do is recommend that this is the data that we have. You can disclose everything that went into developing that vaccine.
This sounds exactly like the thinking of a machine to me. Sir, I need a human being who 4 years later has the benefit of hindsight, preferably somebody who understood what was going on the whole time, not like Chase or anybody who it took 2 or 3 years and got the jab.
Conspiracy
Like,
theorist.
Yeah, we're gonna waste our time talking about conspiracy theories, or can we just get jabbed up in here and not be criticized for it?
Importantly, and I think this gets swept under the rug often, one of the things that needs to be disclosed to people before they take the vaccine is what the relationship was between the government and the pharmaceutical firms that developed the vaccine. What were the pressures? What were
He
the
is
financial
AI. He doesn't
incentives?
just use
I think
AI.
it's right.
He is AI.
He is the AI.
Yep.
For example, before they get a vaccine, that there are people on the CDC who had to approve this and then push this that were seeing significant financial remuneration because of their decisions. I think that that's important for you to know and important for your doctor to know.
Has anyone checked if Mike Termont is a robot?
Where do you check that?
Like honestly, like
Bottom.
to be honest, when I interviewed him, the most human thing he even said was that he raised 2 emo daughters, and I was like, tell me more. He didn't tell me more, but like
you said that to the emo caucus representative.
Yeah, like I was like, tell me more. Tell me more. Did you really raise 2 emo daughters? But then
What were
he
their
turned down
favorite
the idea of
bands?
the national anthem being switched out for Black Parade, and I was like, yeah, you don't get it. You don't get it.
Raise 2 emo daughters. Tell
Yeah.
me about
He'll
them.
say whatever it takes. Whatever it takes, he's saying it.
Panderer. That's what he
Version
is.
of what transpired. If you could just not cover that aspect and go a little bit deeper, I'd appreciate it, Josh. Go ahead.
Sure. Well, let me start off by saying I absolutely did not take the gene therapy. My kids didn't take the gene therapy. My wife didn't take the gene therapy. My job.
Isn't there something just very refreshing about the lack of bullshit or the lack of dancing around? Forget Josh, he knows we had some beef and shit, but like I just appreciate this. Somebody asked you a question and you didn't dance around it and give us fucking story. You went, no, of course I didn't, because I'm not a fucking idiot. And he gets to be on the right side of history. So you don't have to go, well, I wanted to trust my doctor and I had somebody at home with maybe a, comorbidity or something like that. It's like, bro, but that means that you were listening to the regime and taking their word, taking their advice the whole time.
Yeah.
Like I gotta say, I appreciate this, Josh, for just being very clear. No, I didn't. No, my wife didn't. No, I didn't put that thing in my kids because
What
I'm
he
not
should
a
have said was, none of your business. That would have made him Jacob Hornberger's hero. Hero.
Yeah.
Hornberger would have dropped off the race right
Everybody
there.
at our shop to take the gene therapy, and I organized our shop to say that our last day would be December 10th. On December 9th, they came and said, we're going to end the mandate. We're not going to make you guys do it. Look, here's what happened. So people probably got together and said, hey, we need more global control. And so we're going to release a new disease and a novel coronavirus that's going to make a lot of people sick. We're going to bump up the numbers by adding this death as a death cause with every other comorbidity ever in the history of the world. I don't think nearly as many people died from COVID specifically as they have told us to have. I think that then when they realized that they could get even more global control by using a vaccine, they rolled out a vaccine in a hasty manner that either through negligence or downright nefarious reasons has killed a lot of people and harmed and injured a lot of people. And I think they'll continue to use any excuse they can to get more control. Now look, I've been very clear about what I think should happen here in America. I think that we need to have some kind of trial for everybody involved, whether it's governors that close down their states that cause way more harm than the virus did, whether it's the Safer Task Force, whether it's Fouchy, Pfizer, Moderna, presidents, past and present, are found guilty of crimes against humanity. We need to clear out Guantanamo Bay and make that the golden prison.
Oh.
Yeah, so I also did not get the vax, and like Josh, my company attempted to force that. They mandated it when the Biden mandate came in. I pushed back as much as I could, prolonged it as much as I possibly could. They wound up then dropping the mandate after everybody else in the company, I'm pretty sure, had gotten it. Besides me, they dropped it when the federal mandate got stopped, or whatever the case was, whatever federal court stopped it. So I wound up not getting it and actually keeping my job. So you can stand up for what you believe in, man. You like to be able to actually make a difference, at least in your own life. So that's what I did there. I think what Josh and Mike have already said, a lot of that is correct. Fauci and the NIH, he's admitted that they were funding gain of function research in the Wuhan lab to create like even more viral strain of COVID. It got out of the lab, whether intentionally or not. I don't know if that has been proven or not, but he has admitted that the lab leak actually occurred at this point. The federal government then saw this as an opportunity to escalate their authoritarianism as much as they possibly could, not just the U.S. government, but many governments across the world. And they decided to escalate the fear and just lie to the population about essentially everything and see what they could get away with. And what they were able to get away with was lockdowns, shutting down people's businesses, and what they proceeded to do was commit the worst crimes against humanity that we've seen in our lives. And further than lockdowns, they tried to inject an experimental vaccine into everybody. And Josh stole my thunder here because I've been saying I go further than Josh on this because he wants to submit all the perpetrators of the lockdowns, of the COVID regime, the lockdown governors, Anthony Fauci, all of those people. He wants to give them a Nuremberg type of trial. I would say that the COVID regime was already their trial, and they're absolutely 100% guilty. We should throw them in Guantanamo Bay. That is absolutely what we should do.
Yeah. So
And here comes the prags to go, no, we have to be for speedy trials. You can't do that. Guantanamo Bay, no, you
Absolutely insane.
Right?
I love Toad. I think his reaction was great, and I don't actually disagree with him. I think that like the people that have been doing all this like absolute bullshit, Operation Warp Speed or whatever, all the way up to this point, they are absolutely criminals, and they deserve the worst of punishments. But like,
if we're going to play this game, though, where we're in the imaginary world where one of these guys gets elected president and it is Josh Smith by chance, and he does keep open Guantanamo Bay and he does send people there who were COVID criminals, in the event of that, they should still get a trial. And
yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. Yeah.
All right. But these guys are like Trump. This is the Trump phenomenon, right? They take him literally, but not seriously. So like Josh says, that's like a campaign slogan. Like I want Nuremberg too. He knows he's speaking to me. So I'm going to throw these guys in Guantanamo. So, and instead of going, yo, that's awesome. Fuck these people. They deserve to fucking suffer for what they did. These nerds are going, but wait a second. Guantanamo Bay was from George W. Bush era.
But you're absolutely right. They take him literally, but not seriously. And I mean, even like in the most recent podcast that Toad has done, he had a hat on that was like Trump Kaczynski 2024. So it's like Toad, what you see is what you get with Toad. This is why I'm like, dude, will you please run for president? Like, we need someone like you to be like the Vermin Supreme or whatever. Like, we just need someone who's going to see shit outside of the lens and that's not serious.
Be honest.
Because, like, we have too many people who are taking this shit way too fucking serious, dude. They think they have an actual shot at winning the presidency. And I'm like, what world are you living in? You know what I mean? Like, it's wild.
Yeah. I honestly, it makes me, I feel like I have a reputation of like a party loyalist or like somebody who's really into the party or really into the caucus or something like that. It's like, you guys don't know me, but at all. Like, I don't give a fuck about electoral politics. I'm into public relations. Yeah. I'm into like propaganda. Ask Dan about it, right? So I'm into the idea of using this party as a lobbying machine for liberty,
for truth.
Yeah, a
truth tool.
Exactly. Yes.
Oh, yes. I was watching the television early on, and they were talking about how COVID.
He was watching the television
came out of
early on.
A marketplace, and it was.
I too was watching the television early on.
And then they were talking about how there was conveniently this laboratory
very natural,
600 feet away, and it doesn't take a rocket.
Sorry.
The right to make your choice. It's not about blasting people for using a mask or taking the vaccine.
We understand. We have a lot of people respond.
I've been waiting to respond to Chase this whole time. But I will say that, listen, it's the most tyranny that any of us have ever experienced in our entire lifetime. It was 4 years of it, and a lot of it came from the federal government. If you're running for president, you should probably know a little bit more about this issue. I promise you it's important. Chase, I want to know when you decided that the government and Pfizer and all of these people were either evil or stupid, because you put out through several summers encouragements to wear masks, encouragements to get the vaccine. In fact, you put out a post the summer after the vaccine came out saying, I'm going to get my Fauci ouchie so that I can go out to the road.
Can you pause for a second?
Year, which, by the way.
So this is important to me. If Chase did put out a tweet or a post or whatever saying, get the Fauci ouchie, like, I don't care if he took it or didn't take it. I care if he put out the messaging, did you get your Fauci ouchie?
Because I know. This was your biggest, harshest criticism about France too, by the way.
Yeah. Like, Josh, if he's right and Chase put that out, then yes, that's a big problem. If Chase took the vaccine, that's a completely different thing. If you put out the messaging, did you get your Fauci ouchie? That's a big fucking problem. So if Josh can prove that,
What if he
Because
didn't? No, they talk about it. He says that he didn't call it a Fauci ouchie and he didn't encourage people.
All
but
that
he
matters
did-
to me is if he called it the Fauci ouchie ever.
No, he didn't.
That's the bottom line. And if
He's
Chase
gay, he's not that
Chase
gay.
will say in a minute. Chase will say in a minute that he did not call it the Fauci ouchie, and Josh will like make a smirk or shake his head. I don't care who's right or who's wrong. It's very important to me. Did Chase Oliver call it the Fauci ouchie ever? I don't care if he took it or didn't take it.
I don't think.
I
don't think he did.
Compromised mother or anything like that. It was an encouragement to go out and enjoy the world. And so I want to know at what point, because as little as a year and a half ago, you were still posting in favor of some of these, not mandates per se, but advocating for people to do these things so that you could go out and live your life in public. So I want to know at what point you found.
First off, I've never advocated anybody do anything other than say what I have.
That's Josh.
What I said is I got a shot. I'm going to go out and live my life, and I'm not going to let anybody try to lock us down ever again. I think that's a good message to have had in the summer of 2021, is that we're not going to take any.
No, that's not a good message to have in the summer of 2021.
I like his chuckle there. That
right. I want to get back to my life, so I got the vaccine in 2021.
That's fine. That's fine. I don't care. Did you call it a Fauci ouchie or did you not? That is all I care about.
That is really what it boils down
and you
to.
were sucked in. You weren't
Yeah.
just going with your doctor's thing. You were promoting it. You were buying into the propaganda, and you were pushing that propaganda. If you call it a Fauci ouchie ever.
I hate that you're going to make me fucking defend Chase Oliver, but no, he didn't say that. He said that he got the shot. He did not call it a Fauci ouchie, so he's still in play for your guy.
If he never called it that, then great. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, he's still in the running.
And it's not because I took the vaccine that I opposed lockdown in 2020. But here's the truth of it. And here's the truth of it. You can make your own decisions for yourself. But I'm absolutely opposed to the military-industrial complex, the medical-industrial complex, and the entire system as it exists. The fact that we have an FDA is wrong because there are ways to measure the efficacy of drugs outside of the federal model, outside of the government model. But when we talk about, tweets, you're taking many things out of context. First off, I've never said algae. It's ridiculous. I told people that I got a vaccine, and I'm not scared of saying that I got a vaccine one time, guys. You know why? Because I took my doctor's advice.
This is crazy. No. I'm sorry. I'm not fine with that. I'm definitely not fine with that. Hey, it's just a choice. It's just a medical. I just took my doctor's advice, man.
Yeah.
Your doctor's advice is bullshit, right? Yeah.
We have to remember what was going on in I know. Well, he's telling the truth, I guess, maybe, but doesn't that matter that he just took the fascist medical advice? Like you weren't watching what was happening? You didn't.
He's used to taking it up the ass anyway.
You said it. I
mean, to me, it
and he's
depends
like
on-
a healthy age. He's a healthy dude. Like what was his doctor? Why wouldn't he question his doctor? You know,
right?
It depends on how long in did he take it?
To give Trump is he was just listening to the people at first. You can't blame Trump. You know, that's like you can't have that.
Right.
You can't have that.
It's wild.
Right.
It's like I actually I've had, like I said, I've had good conversations with Chase. The only bad thing I have to say with it is that like he smells bad, but at the same time, he always smells bad. But
like
as a person, I appreciate that
Bobby,
he actually owned up
what
to
kind
the
of
fact
smells
that he's
bad?
had a shot. He didn't have to disclose that.
What
brand
smell
of
are
bad
you
smell?
referring to?
I mean, breath.
No, it is not breath.
Halitosis is a thing.
What do we got going here?
Everything about him smelled bad.
Because sometimes the gays have a smell. I mean, that's not being.
No.
Wow.
This is not butt sex smell. This is just like he
That's what I
smells
was asking.
horrible.
It's not my show.
Absolutely.
You see me over here, bro? I'm just like, yo.
And like, if he sees this, like, no offense, put on some goddamn deodorant, shower. That's it.
God, the gays are usually so good about.
You would think you'd smell great.
Being like, yeah.
think you smell like a gay.
Acid, they're like really pretty.
You should smell gay.
Right?
Honestly, smell gay.
Yeah.
Glad we're getting really deep into the intellectual conversations.
I know. I thought that I was going to say the worst shit about Chase, but it's you guys.
I'm so sorry.
Chase is a great politician, and I say that for better and for worse. He's doing a great job at, as Lars would say, rigging the game. He's a great rigger. He's a really good rigger.
Ben's
playing
funny
the game
though.
well.
I imagine Ben probably had like a point a minute ago. He's like, yeah, he's not too bad. I like talked to him, and he's pretty cool. It's just I don't know. It's just he smells really bad.
Stinks.
It's true.
Smells like a day.
I
got a
just
lot
don't want
going for
like he can like say all the libertarian things, right? But I just don't want him to be within 5 feet of somebody, because if he gets within 5 feet of someone, they will for sure smell his ass, and like there's no way that that's gonna work.
Look, the guy that you put up has an OnlyFans where he sucks cum out of women and like posts that on Instagram.
Okay, are we forgetting about Toad too?
Sorry.
At least give me the redemption of the fact that I brought Toad. I recommend Toad. Okay, so like at least give me that.
Oh, you're bailing on your guy?
I'm not bailing, but like
seems like you're bailing.
I have been
Chris
very busy
Tomzak,
with
despite
my medical
all the
stuff. I haven't even been able to
degeneracy.
focus on
You
fronts.
Toad is the right answer.
All right, I am
Just suck
picking
a
this
Toad.
back up from the Santorum-y smell of the frothy action.
I'm
that
sorry, Dave.
May or may not exude from this man.
I too am
But
sorry,
I will
Dave.
let you finish your piece, Chase.
I went to my doctor. I didn't do it because Joe Biden did it or
wrap it up.
anybody else. So why is my personal decision something that irks you so much? I never advocated you take a shot or that you take a
Bro, your personal decision, Rex's personal decision to vote for Trump in 2016 triggered you worse than this triggers me. So that's why we're not the same, dude. If you think that this is just no big deal, why are you like bothering me for a medical decision? But you have some issue with, this guy who, just left the political party he'd been in his whole life and like switched. Oh, well, you're not a party loyalist. It's like
Hard
dude,
left to hard right to libertarian.
Yeah, well, but again, this means way less to me.
To all of that. Like,
Marxist to Trump.
Yeah.
Which is hard right to libertarian.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm cool with that. And you got guys
too.
like, from the Libertarian Institute. What's his name? Who's a former Marxist himself, dude. This makes him a good libertarian. I know we're taking a detour there, but that's not the reason that you can criticize Rec on some stuff Ben did earlier, and it's noted. I understand it, but
not that stuff.
Not that stuff. That's good stuff.
Shot. Mr. Rectenwald right here.
Okay, so one of the things being missed here was the collusion between the state and various corporate players.
Thank you.
Big pharma, big tech, the collusion and control over information. This was not just the government per se. This was the government and all its apparatuses, which I have called.
He's got some Doc Brown energy. Like, Marty, it's the apparatus of the governmentalities. I do enjoy that a little bit.
Governmentalities. They act on behalf of and at the behest of the state. Now, speaking of governmentalities, this is something that Chase tweeted. Give me autonomy and property rights, you mean. A business can decide to require workers to be vaccinated or limit customers to those with the vaccine.
Yeah, they can. And if they want to be stupid enough to limit their customer base to only people with vaccines, they're going to lose business.
Okay, this is an interesting point because Rec read that tweet and he should have hammered him again. Like you could tell Chase was ready for this because it's another one of those things where like technically you're right that a business can prevent somebody from coming in for any reason, right? But to say that during the COVID lockdown era, oh, business can do whatever they want. Like how tone deaf do you have to be?
And we just heard his very sad story. You didn't play it, but about his friend who lost her flower shop and ended up in the Lowe's Garden Center.
Lowe's.
Yeah.
Like, and we're, come on. That's it.
Yeah, fuck her.
Fuck you. Shut up.
Fuck. I mean, God damn it.
Get another job.
Business. If you're stupid enough to require, excuse me, if you're stupid enough to require a vaccine from your employees, you're probably going to lose some good employees. But a business owner and a property owner, you talk about property rights so much, has the right to determine who can come on their property, who can do business with them, and the conditions to which they wouldn't be.
Lars is being so polite right now. He's raising his hand.
His fingers.
Will also maintain the body autonomy and the free
Let's
rights
all
of
just
private
pull
property,
our
allows
fan.
people to make their own decisions. If you listen to government, that's for you to do. You can do that.
Ron
I'm not going to
DeSantis,
do that.
How do you feel about the Civil Rights Act? How do you feel about the Civil Rights Act, Chase?
How do you feel about the
Do you
Civil
think
Rights
people should be?
How do
No,
you
you.
feel about it?
No, you.
So great.
Shut up.
Chase is beginning to lose his shit, and you can tell. And he's reminding me his body language is a lot like the divorced drunk guy from The Simpsons. Do you know the guy I'm talking about? He reminds me of that guy.
Rectenwald just facing the wall.
I know, Rex, turn around.
I mean, yeah, you can talk about Chase's body language all you want, but Rectenwald is
Listen,
three-quarters of the way turned around. Just
Listen, no, I'm fucking with you, Rex. Listen to these
literally
people.
the guy,
Turn
the drunk, divorced guy from The Simpsons. This is Mike
Rex,
Rectenwald right now.
Turn around and put your phone away, bro. I fucking love you. But turn around.
People discriminate based on color from their business?
I believe in freedom of association, but here's the truth. While I would prefer that the free market punish racists, I understand that that's not going to change right now. You're not going to get people around.
I love it. Okay, listen. Yeah, of course I'd be for repealing the Civil Rights Act, but there's nothing we can do about that right now. As I tell you about all my plans for deconstructing the government and the border should be open and all of these things should be changed, there's just nothing that we could do about that. Like, that's crazy.
Eliminating the Civil Rights Act, if we haven't proven that libertarian works in a bunch of other areas.
So it's okay to discriminate on your medical status, but not on race.
It is okay.
Josh is hammering him. Okay, so it's cool for a business to do it for for your vaccine status, but not for your like. This is a really good point. Way to go, Josh.
Okay to have freedom of association. And I just told you, I want the free market to punish racists. But you know what? We have the Civil Rights Act as it currently exists. And you know what's not going to get rid of it? Us just screaming and get rid of the Civil Rights Act. We have to work on the economy, the immigration system, the workers.
Yo, he's going from passionate to unhinged. Can you guys feel it? I feel it. I'm telling you, he's not happy. This is not the kind of energy you want. Usually he's got good political energy, but he's about to lose it.
And so many other things before we give the proof of concept to people that we can punish racists with the free market.
Mr. Tremont been waiting patiently for a long time. And then
Thank you, I appreciate that. I think your question is really important because it goes to something that. Sorry, I'll wait. Yeah.
He gave the teacher move. I'll wait.
He did that on our show, Dave.
Did he really?
No. Are you done? Are you done? Are you done?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. Go ahead. It goes to something that is really fundamental to our campaigns, and that is the fact that you cannot trust your government. You brought it up in a number of different ways, right? You brought it up with regard to the pipe on January 6th. I brought it up with regard to the Baltic pipeline. We brought it up with regard to the Federal Reserve System. We brought it up in the context of Social Security. The fundamental message, piece of it has got to be the government is not your friend. You cannot trust the government. And for a variety of reasons, there are forces that drive the elitists, the political class that runs our government to do things that are not in your interest, that are in their own interest, to cover things up.
He's trying to get
keep
the
their
Libertarian
power,
nomination.
alive to
He's
you.
not trying to get the presidential.
This idea that, well, maybe it's malicious and maybe it's just dopey. No, I'm sorry.
Dopey!
It's malicious. There are
You
a lot
dopey
of
rapscallions?
people in government who are dopey. Trust me on this.
Dopey.
Careful too about allocating that to private corporations when they are doing so because they have contracts with the federal government that mandate that they.
I just want to say your point. To your point, one of the reasons why it is so evil inside the federal government, and it is, one of the reasons it's so evil is because it propagates, right? It moves like all propaganda and like so many other ideas. And you have a number of companies who feel under pressure, either in order to get federal contracts or just to comply with the mob because they see the federal government pushing this crap.
I want to make it clear that
We got 20 minutes left of this debate.
I do support the Voting Rights Act of the 1964 Civil Rights Act. I think to condemn that aspect is absolutely illegitimate.
Agreed.
I think that's fair. Toad, and then we'll go to the next question.
Yeah, I was just going to point out real quickly that
Go.
Chase is running to be the representative of the Libertarian Party as the presidential nominee. However, he was duped by the largest government propaganda campaign that we've seen in our lives, and maybe ever in history. And I think it's disqualifying, and I think that any libertarian worth their salt. He did change his mind on it a year later. fine. That's better than not having done so. But I think any libertarian.
Did you see Josh go 2 years? That was amazing. That one got by me the first time, but it didn't get by me this time. Way to go, you guys.
Libertarian work their salt would have recognized that like almost immediately, and it should have been like a year earlier. And as far as Jacob Hornberger over there, him basically just ignoring that the COVID regime even happened whatsoever, that's as much of a disqualifier as I've ever seen. I don't even think the guy's a libertarian.
McCarthyism. That is Kirk McCarthy Russell. Kirk McCarthy Russell right there was grilling Jacob Hornberger on whether or not he had gotten the vaccine.
Rec, if that didn't make you smile, I don't know what will, brother. Come on.
Yeah,
give me something.
get some fucking Riz, bro. Come on.
I know.
You got to win. You got to win from Toad.
He's not trying to win, dude.
Who? Toad or
Wrecked?
Oh, he's trying to win. Rex,
No,
Rec,
the fuck
he's in
he's
it to win
not,
it.
dude. He's not giving anything.
Well, that's just
Anybody.
dude, he's
That's
not a politician. Yeah, he's not one of these guys.
He's not a politician.
Rec is going to literally disappear when the camera cuts
No,
back
that
to him.
already
He's going to be gone.
That already
Clean.
happened.
But
I don't know if Rick will even make it
I
to
love you,
fucking
Dave.
DC, dude. The dude is like completely checked out, it seems. So
I asked Dan last night, is he physically okay? Because he looks like he's diseased.
Oh no,
He looks like he's gonna kill himself.
Gray, and he looks really unhealthy.
but to be fair, that would have been a credential for the emo caucus to actually like,
yes, he looks much more
at
emo,
that.
much more emo and ready to kill himself than Toad is. So
But when I asked him in real life, like, hey, I actually asked him, like, so they had like a talk
asked him?
where they asked him, you know, all these questions about, what his chances were for presidency or whatever. And I asked him what his favorite emo band was. He could not give me an answer. So he's not emo.
disqualified.
Yeah, but dude,
Disqualified.
you're talking about but you talk about elder emos, which like me or Josh might fall into that category or something. But Rec is like the 1980s, like fucking.
He could have given me the cure, bro. Like he could have given me any answer. He gave me nothing. So
yeah.
He could have pulled some shit. Even Mike Termott was like My Chemical Romance. And I was like, okay, we're talking.
No, that's pandering. I would rather have the guy who's like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, bro. I don't know.
He was like, "I'll get back to it," and then he never did. So that's
If Michael
yeah.
Rectenwald knew My Chemical Romance, I think it's much more pandering than
Yo, listen, you can say what you want about him. He's still the best guy in this motley crew of fucking.
He hasn't everything made for print.
Yeah.
He's doing great in print. Go back
I know.
to print. I'm sorry you're here. I'm sorry we did this to you. Please.
It's very sad for us, Dave, because
I get it.
We know
Well,
that he knows.
Look,
but
if you had a bunch of dudes here who had all the accolades and a bunch of people who, had huge followings and stuff like that, it's like, okay, I get it. But like, you just don't. You don't have that. I would rather have the smartest guy in the room who had no panache than the salesman who like can do the thumb point, like Chase, really good thumb points. I'd rather have that, but I understand that opinions are like assholes. Everybody got one, and that's just what I want. So I don't.
Me too. We talked about this months ago. Like, I don't care if he's flashy.
And by the way,
I don't want to see his back.
He's not going to do anything. He's going to disappear any minute now in this debate. The next time you cut back to this, next time they cut back to this camera angle, he's going to be gone.
I am officially. I've been a cheerleader for this movement, and the party and the people in it are pillars for years. When it was Jacob, I worked for Jacob, not technically, but like I'll meme Jacob. I'll make
Supreme.
Right, Vermin Supreme. If it's Dave Smith, I'll make memes for Dave. We're talking about Dave now. Great. When it's Joe Jorgensen, I made Joe cool. All right, I'm on board. I'm not really picky. You know what I'm saying? At this point, I'm a little bit. I'm phasing myself out of the cheerleading thing because I'm not in the mood anymore.
Do
For my whole
something.
life.
Give me something.
I'm not going to try to convince any of you guys, not you guys here. Well, you guys here and anybody listening, I'm no longer interested in trying to convince you of something. I certainly don't want to try and convince my own people that like, yo, Rex the guy. I've showed you some shit. I've showed you his books. I've made some cool memes and some cool clips for him. If you're not into it, cool. I'm no longer like, I don't want to sell anybody on anything.
Yeah.
So at this
You don't
point,
lie
I'm
like
kind of
Dave Smith did when he like highly endorsed Rec as the torchbearer from the Dave Smith campaign. You don't do that.
Well, look,
I get that.
He
I mean,
he literally tried to pass the torch to Rec.
Well, but look,
why?
if your goal, Dave, because Dave's goal, I think, is different than some people's, which is to have a charismatic, just dude who can. Dave is looking
The value of the moment. He wants Rec to take the torch because he's not going to do it, and Rec can.
That's the most important.
He can say the right thing sometimes, but it.
And look, if I haven't,
that is like beside the point. We are not a fucking serious party. We don't have any serious influence on politics right now. So, like, which one of these fucking people that is sitting on this panel is actually going to change that? I'm just saying,
Jacob Hornberger, because the real libertarian message has never been tried, and if we do that, then it'll be right. Even though he has no idea whether or not crimes happened.
Listen,
the COVID regime.
I'm not gonna like stop being involved with the LP. I love the LP. This is something I'm very convicted about. I'm just saying, like, which one of these fucking people is gonna speak out for what we fucking believe in a way that's gonna appeal to everybody? And it's not happening. This year it's not happening. We're gonna get like 0.5%. That's what's gonna happen. So,
Ben, I agree with you, dude. But the
Maybe
point I would add that nobody in this group, even though they might all say I'm the guy for you and I'll get more votes than the other guy, they're all going to get 0.5% to 1%.
Yeah.
Because we are the third box. Nobody cares
We're the
about our
fourth
philosophy.
box with RFK.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. But we're a protest vote for the vast majority of people who vote Libertarian every 4 years. The vast majority. Millions of people vote Libertarian. There's 15,000 national members.
I think the best thing we could hope for as the LP is that at least 2% of the country are edge trolling social media edgelords. Because, like, if that's the case, let's just put Toad in the spot, and like he'll get us the 2%, whatever. I don't know, man. Like,
2%.
None of these people are fucking interesting at all. They have no riz. That's the fucking problem. There's no charisma whatsoever in any of these fucking people. So
I just want the chaos candidate that says even your party is failing, because it is. I want the guy that's honest enough to say, no, yes, I'm in your party. I'm in your thing. I'm here for you. But even this is not working. I want the guy that's the most honest. And that's fucking shoeless Toad.
But we are all asking for different things. Like,
yeah, it's true.
Ben wants the riz, he wants the panache and the charisma, and Dan, you want the chaos, and I want somebody who's respectable. Like,
can we have both?
Well,
kind of.
You could.
Suit, and I want you to have read a book ever.
Yeah.
And I want you to embrace like any fundamental libertarian principle as laid out by, like, I don't know, Rothbard, Rand, Mises.
So you could get that with Rec or Josh, or and that's pretty much it.
Yep,
that's pretty much it. And they're not vaccinated either, so that's another bonus for those guys. I'm saying it's slim pickings around these parts.
It really
I mean,
yes,
it's kind of a litmus test. If you have been vaccinated, as much as Jacob Hornberger wants to complain that it would be asked, if you have been vaccinated, it's kind of a litmus test for whether or not you get it. You're a conspiracy theorist, you're a Hoppian, you're whatever. You are paying attention to anything. If you got the vaccine from the government, whether under Donald Trump or Joe Biden, doesn't matter. If you got it at all, that's a litmus test. So
it is
good on Toad. Toad being the evil dictator that he is, that's interrogating everyone. Good on him for asking the question that Kurt McCarthy Russell would later on embellish on.
Here we go.
Perspective: who has been a better president, Joe Biden or Donald Trump?
This is like a mic drop moment, to be honest with you. Like, just to tell people like how real they actually are.
And the fact that this is that much of a mic drop moment is really sad for our party.
But yeah,
it is.
I really
Why is it really sad?
Because why would this question have not been asked before? Like,
right?
For this to
Yeah.
be a big divider, like this is just common sense. Who is better? The guy who said some things that were libertarian-ish and pulled some people in, and then failed in a lot of ways, but succeeded in a lot of ways, or the literal corpse who is like Barack Obama in 25 years.
But listen, this is what I'm talking about, and I'll take it back to my dude. But like when it gets to Rec, you could tell Rec was like, well, Trump did some things that were better, and like he got some people against the establishment. And then I think he remembered that so many people have given him shit for voting for Trump. So he goes, no, but I mean, they're like pretty much equal. I don't know. Like, oh, damn it. Like, well, no, just own it, bro. Like, no, you were right. And it's
honest.
okay. These guys are dickheads, not you. It's okay.
I'm gonna
you
have
voted
to
for
hop
Trump.
off. I thank you so much for having me on tonight.
Oh,
Really
yeah.
nice hearing this. I'm glad I got to
Thanks,
watch
Lars,
this
mommy.
and see this. See it. It's great.
Appreciate you. Have
Thank
a good night.
you.
Sorry,
Good night,
drunk
Jess.
over here. I know it's very
Yeah.
misogynistic, and I hope that you got your one voice across.
She's gone.
I'm sorry.
She's gone.
All right, we'll let Josh get in here a little bit.
Reject this false premise entirely. I've never had a president in my lifetime that cared about the United States of America and its people. They have all worked for foreign and corporate interests around the country, and it's time to end that. So, thanks.
Was the question which one was better or worse? Better?
Yeah.
All right, Josh, I think you reversed that, Josh. Josh also is kind of refusing to answer a hypothetical there. The answer to this is Trump was the better of the two.
Yeah.
They both expose a bunch of things about the establishment, but Trump does it by basically just being totally unfiltered and actually saying it in a lot of cases to you, like what is actually going on here. Biden does it just because he exemplifies the rotting, decrepit corpse of the establishment. But Trump does it in a more hilarious way. He is a fellow shit poster. So the answer is Trump.
As a real libertarian, no doubt.
Based, bro.
Oh my
Libertarian
God.
based. Said Noda.
Oh my God. That's the libertarian Lolbert moment I've been waiting for.
Yep.
For this whole debate. You were asked a simple question, a binary one, an easy one, as the guy next to you just exemplified, and you couldn't do it. Neither one. The duopoly is equal.
Well, Chase is going to get much deeper into the duopoly. They're both equally bad. Not just the candidates, but the parties are equally bad. He will get into that. And then Jacob Harberger will accuse Code of working in tandem with alt-right winger infiltrator.
I love how Dan's like,
Russell.
wait till you see this guy, what he says here in just a couple minutes.
I'm also looking at this through a lens like, if libertarians were absolutely retarded and gave RFK a chance to sit in a panel like this, like how would he answer these questions?
He would kill himself.
He would literally commit political suicide.
Yo, no lie. If you guys didn't know this already, next month, the guys in California pulled this off. Or it's this month. It's in like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Correct?
well, it's him, Cornel West, and Jill Stein now.
No.
Which is wild.
That's a different day. It's going to be It's going to be Sunday. Is going to be Hornberger, Cornel West, and Jill Stein, I believe. And
with
Saturday,
the LP candidates, right?
Saturday will be Termott, Rectenwald, and RFK.
Nice.
Really? I didn't even know that.
That'll be a debate or like a forum or something that you'll see. Yeah, the dudes in Adrian out of California pulled that off, and he's getting a lot of shit from people.
He should get a lot of shit. I'm a lifetime member of California, by the way, and I'm also good friends with Adrian. I give him shit in personal messages all the time.
But you think that's cool, right? That he's doing some cool big shit out there, or do you? Or
No. Actually, I'm very much so like I'm not on the same page as him in a lot of ways. So
yeah, but do you think it's cool?
I'm not gonna talk shit about him. He's a good guy. So
no, yeah. Are you against having non-libertarians at a libertarian convention?
I'm against having libertarians pay $3,000 to have 5 minutes to speak at a convention. Absolutely.
Is it 5 minutes?
5 minutes, literally a 5-minute slot. $3,000 to pay for 5 minutes. It's fucking insane. I think it's fucked up. We should be promoting our candidates more. There's no other state in the entire country that is charging this amount of money. Also, at the same time, he is providing an opportunity for these people to have a serious conversation and debate with real contenders, not real contenders.
Yeah.
They're all going to get like fucking 2%.
That's true, but at the end of the day, what his job really is fundraising for his state. So he just pulled.
I'm not talking shit about Adrian. I'm not going to do that. Like, he's my friend. So I at the same time, like I am just disappointed because I've been and very involved with LP California, and I'm disappointed because like I don't think that we should be charging our candidate so much money to take part in such an event. We should be,
bro. Don't you?
At the very least, like giving them like an opportunity to be a part of it at a lower cost, so that we have like national opportunities with media and shit like that. This is gonna be covered by national media. There's no question about that,
bro. Don't you get when I hear other states go, you know what New Hampshire should do? I just go, shut the fuck up.
Right. No, you're right. But here's the thing is like the only reason I'm involved is because I'm still a lifetime member. I'm going to go back hopefully to the convention and vote in all of their bylaws and all their policies. I'm still invested with LP California. So like I have an investment there. Like there's still a reason that I'm involved. And like I said, they are personal friends with me. I lived there for 3 years. Yeah. So
okay, that's cool. I disagree. I think it's cool what they're doing, but a lot of people are pissed, and I respect that. And it is a hefty ticket for 5 minutes. That sounds like a lot of money. It is. I'll just say that money and your energy and all that shit is subjective. So if somebody wants to spend $3,000 for 5 minutes, it's like whatever. You found value in that, and then we're libertarians. So
back to what the fuck we're talking about, which I think is
right. Sorry, guys.
Jacob Hornberger. No. Michael Rectenwald going up against RFK. I think that's great. I think that RFK has his great political libertarian points, which are like 20%, and Michael Rectenwald has like 75% libertarian points without the charisma of I'm a candidate.
So yeah. Michael
Rectenwald has less charisma than the guy who cannot talk. I want to see them go back to back on this. Yes, if there's anything there, I want to see Michael Rectenwald go up against RFK because neither of them are good debaters. Neither are good public speakers.
Do you think that when confronted with like a serious candidate, that Rectenwald will maybe not look like he's ready to fall asleep
or kill himself?
Like perhaps this is just not like intellectually stimulating at all for him.
I get that.
It's not only that, but his best performance was on Timcast.
Yes.
When they wanted to talk about him.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So I think if Rec could clear these jive turkeys and get over the hump, then it would be better. Like he has sat with Glenn Beck. He is the intellectual heavyweight. He is he is a great writer. So like when he's talking about things that he's into and somebody's like, tell me about this subject, he thrives. When he looks you in the eye, it's better than podcasts where he can kind of like look asleep or a debate. Agreed. No, that's true.
Maybe.
Yeah, no, I'm not like I'm genuinely asking, like, you knowing him personally, like if he's just not as engaged here because of his surroundings.
I think he does. I don't think he likes these debates a whole lot. And I think that not this one, but I think that they've bullied him a bit because he was at least at one point certainly the front runner, and I think they kind of hit him up, and that hurts he wasn't ready for that. I don't think he wasn't ready for the negative reaction coming into the Libertarian Party. I wasn't either, but that was 6 years ago. I've learned a lot since then. So they're very hostile. He's sitting next to a guy who, he's going to yell about how racist Lou Rockwell is. And that means Ron Paul is off the table. And that means Rothbard is off the table and all that. That's who's getting ready he wants to lead you. So, I mean, I'm insulted by that, but that's
just me. Let's say Michael Rectenwald versus RFK. Great. That'd be great. Beautiful. I would watch it. But Toad versus RFK. Better or worse?
Dan, this isn't fantasy football, bro. Toad isn't going to any of these debates. It's not. What if Scott Horton went against RFK? We're not playing this game, dude. He's not going to. He's not going. He didn't pay the $3,000. This is the first debate he showed up to. He's not spending. He spent $0. So he's definitely not spending $3,000 for 5 minutes to get up there. No, it is actually pretty based. But I wish he was. I wish he was going to Cali. I wish that he would show up in more of these debates so that he could throw a little bit more.
Yo, if I could make it
mud.
happen to get Toe to go to California, would you guys like fucking be about that?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right, I'll see what I
Smotz
can
is
do.
in. Smotz, real quick, and then I'm playing this video.
Joe is my new Joe Exotic. Let's go.
That's what I was just going to ask you.
All the
Is
way. Yes.
Is he more than Joe Exotic at this point?
Yes.
Wow.
No,
That's-
seriously, this is why I am
More
running for
more
president, is because we have
underdog
two
than a guy
crap
who's in
guys that we have
jail.
He's got less of a
to choose from
Toad.
again. I'm tired of the illusion of choice. I'm tired of the government foisting on us this choice. Look, we have two private corporations,
Give it
the
to me, Lo.
RC and the DNC, who run our damn elections. It's a completely rigged game, folks. They have already
Riggers.
chosen these two
These
clowns
riggers.
to run again. And all my life, I had to choose between Bush and Clinton, Bush and Clinton. And I didn't like any of those guys either. And I voted no on those guys.
You're
I didn't
riggers.
vote for either of these guys before, and I'm not going to vote for them again. They're utter crap, and they're horrible for America, and they are anti-libertarian. They are authoritarian. They spend trillions of dollars that we don't have, bury the American people. They are not friends of the American people. They are friends of the establishment. They are
Pragmatic,
friends of the
dirty,
bureaucracy.
middle of the
We need to
road.
put an end to this crap.
Everybody's a
We're good.
rigger.
But tell me that doesn't resonate with fucking America.
No, I
like
think,
that
honestly,
dude,
it
like
probably would.
literally,
Sure.
like
Yeah.
who fucking cares, dude? He's not fucking Joe Jorgensen. He says
Kinda.
what he says in
He's
a way that
kinda
is
Joe
not
Jorgensen,
fucking
bro.
Sleepy Joe.
Exactly.
So like,
He's
give him
kinda-
at least
kinda
some
Joe
credit.
Jorgensen,
Jesus.
yeah.
He's pretty close to Joe. He's
Yeah.
got Joe.
No, he's not.
Joe
He's
Jorgensen
not
was
Joe.
Real stupid.
Bro, she was a decent libertarian. She had shitty social media people that
She was
put
great
out
on
some,
paper.
like,
Yep.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
She was. And to be fair,
And her
I've heard
ads
some
are
people say,
bomb as shit.
bro, I've heard some people say,
I
"Oh,
can pump
Rectenwald
Lars
is
up too.
Rectenwald is boring like Bill Weld," or like or Joe Jorgensen. The problem with Joe Jorgensen was that she was woke. The problem with Bill Weld was that he was a military contractor.
Mhm.
Not that they're like not
The
entertaining.
thing of the day.
Right. I just wanted to clear that out. I've got to give a couple props to my boy Rec. We feel like we beat him up a little bit in there, but
I do think that the DNC and RNC run our elections. I would argue that APAC runs our elections more than almost any other.
So,
let me
just
closing
statements after this. Before we go to Chase, I just wanted to say, I'm not asking you to tell me who you're going to vote for. I'm just asking who's better.
They're both terrible. You
McCarthy.
can determine who's, there's different factors. Like Biden's done less drone bombings than Trump. So on that, I guess old Joe is better. But they're terrible on everything. They have both continued to spend money, continue to expand the warfare state, including Donald Trump, who had more drone bombs in 4 years than Obama did in 8. And so he's not a peace president, that's for damn sure. But
just say Biden is better. Just fucking say it, bro. You know what I mean? Just say it.
they're both
Anybody
awful in their
who
own
owns it
particular way.
on either
and you're right, I
side,
think Joe Biden
I
was stupid
respect more.
right out of high school when he said, let's just break Iraq into 3 different countries and that'll solve the sectarian violence that we have there. He's been an idiot since the beginning. But Donald Trump is no better. He says things you like to hear. I'm going to drain the swamps. Does nothing to do it. I'm going to fix this. Does nothing to do it. He plays lip service, and we need to reject that too. So neither are really better than the other. One is absolutely doing things we don't support, but he's not trying to pay us lip service and kiss our ass about it. But they're both effing terrible. And like you said, Trump started the COVID state.
So
He
Biden
ran
is
an ad
better
in
because
2020
he
saying, "I
does the
listen
same thing, but it doesn't pretend that like he's not doing the same thing. Biden is better than Trump because he's more honest. The problem with Trump is that he's dishonest. He says he's going to do good things and does bad things, but Biden does bad things and says he does bad things. So Biden is better.
You heard it.
everything Anthony Fauci told me. That was what he ran on, and now he's running against it. And the truth is, it just shows the inconsistency of who he is. And then Trump, and then Joe Biden.
Trump is an idiot because he listened to Fauci, but this guy is a real genius because he listened to Fauci, listened to his doctor, got the fucking jab. Yeah, way to think it through, buddy.
Biden is the same way. You can find flip-flops of Joe Biden's 50 years in government pretty easily. And let's not forget that the guy who wants to talk about racial equality and peace between the people is also the same guy who passed the 94 crime bill that called people super predators and all sorts of horrible things. And so neither of us, nor neither of them should be trusted at all fix it. Who's better amongst the two? I don't know. Flip a coin. They're both two shit sides of the same coin. And so I don't care.
The reason I ask is because, I think that aside from the COVID era, I think that the drafting of the Patriot Act would probably be the biggest infringement of our rights.
Yes.
And Joe Biden has bragged about authoring that.
He was absolutely a part of that. And don't forget that Democrats and Republicans all voted for those things. So it's not like one party's better than the other either. I guarantee you, on 9/11, 2001, it's 9/12, Donald Trump would have tried to pass all the same things. He would have said, we're all in danger, and don't worry, I can protect you. I will protect you. And this is what anybody in government does in those situations, in every emergency. And that's why we need libertarians in office, because they will reject that notion.
Mr. Rectenwald.
Yes, I mean, Donald Trump effectively rolled out Operation Warp Speed, which was the beginning of the COVID crisis, per se. So he was responsible for the beginning of this entire debacle and this entire sham that we faced. And I think that the thing is, though, that he did one thing well, and that was he was able to get rhetoric out there. Now, I'm not saying he actually believed it, but he was able to get rhetoric out there that opposed the establishment. And that was something that was important to hear. And despite the fact that he doesn't stand by it, really, at least his rhetoric was damaging to the regime. That is very clear from the fact that they tried everything and still do to completely shut him up. But that being said, I mean, this is a false binary, one that I can't adjudicate, except to say that they're both terrible, of course. But I would say this: the economy was better under Trump, and that's because he got rid of regulations. He allowed drilling, which we must have. We must have energy policy. We must be able to drill on our shores. We must get rid of the DEI. All of these things are terrible and much more prohibitive than anything that Trump did. So, I mean, Trump was a disaster too. But I should say that Biden is a nightmare. We're looking at socialism 3.0.
I'll come to you in 1 second, Judge, but I want to let Mr. Barnberger go.
Yeah, there's not any difference between these two guys, but you see, that's not the fundamental problem. The problem is that the system they face.
You're actually
Enough of that.
a lovely crowd, and that's the truth.
So we've gotten to closing arguments. So we'll let these guys kind of give their last little spiel, and then we'll shit on them for a little bit longer.
Give us the pitch. Yeah.
There it is.
The matter. And you might not know it from what you've just heard a couple of hours that have just passed, but this is actually a terrific group of guys. And only pushed like this will they get on each other's nerves as best.
Brad Binkley said on his podcast the next day, he was like, yo, I should have opened up with this because when I was in the kitchen before we started, Mike Tremont was back there talking a bunch of shit. Like he goes, yo, he said something like, none of these guys would last 20 minutes with me, like in a real setting or something like that. He's like, I really should have opened with that, but I didn't do it. Just so you know.
As they apparently did. For those of you who want to see a very professional campaign, it's not everybody. It's not for everybody.
No,
but
it's
I
not.
believe it is the right answer to disrupting the political duopoly that reigns in America. For those of you who want to see a professional campaign, I encourage you to look at one of our 3 websites. We've got an AI bot coming out that's very fun. It's in beta phase.
Yeah.
We call it LISA, the Libertarian Intelligence System Application. You can find it at libertarianintelligence.org. Go test it, play with it. It's a lot of fun. Yes, AI has problems and threats and risks to our future, but this is something that we need to be good at because everyone else is going to be using it. We lean into my background in public service and public policy. We do that on purpose. We maintain a lot of credibility, a lot of detail, a lot of background. We believe it matters when it comes to clearing the threshold that Americans will expect to be competitive. Thanks a lot.
Mr. Smith.
First of all, I want to say
real quick, Dave, dude, let me tell you real quick.
All right.
Thank you for having me on. I gotta dip out. I am, by the way, real quick, I just found out that the dudes in LPNH just started a Give Send Go for me for my medical funds because I'm dealing with like a tumor and stuff and all this cancer bullshit. So yeah, I'm gonna figure that out later. But that's cool of them. Also, I gotta go. So
Bro,
I hope
thanks
you
for
guys
everything,
have a
man.
great rest of your night. And this has been a great conversation. Thank you for having me on, Dave. You're awesome.
Appreciate you, man. Keep up the
I'll
great
have you
work.
on in a couple weeks on my show, and we're gonna have a great conversation about your old musical career. Gonna be sick.
I'm looking forward to it, brother. Thank you, man.
Have a good night, brother. See ya.
See you, Ben.
Bye.
That's a good dude. All right.
And then there were two.
Let's say, yeah, date night. Let's keep it going. I'm the third wheel. We'll finish it out together.
Nice.
Just like everybody else here. I'm just sick and tired of the government making it hard to be a family. And so if you want a candidate that's going to put a huge emphasis on, incentivizing the family instead of incentivizing the family, you want somebody who hates the Federal Reserve and thinks it's Satan. You want somebody who's going to beat the anti-war drum harder than anybody up here, I promise. Then I'm your candidate. And I would like you guys to go to Joshua Smith 2024. You can check out the .com. You can check out the platform there. There's all of our campaign videos. I promise you, I work my butt off to get on the stage with these other guys, not these guys, but the guys in the general election. And I have a lot to say, and I guarantee I'm going to echo a lot of the same sentiments you guys have with just trying to be a normal American every day. So I appreciate your support. You can go there, you can become a volunteer, see our videos, our platforms, you can donate to the campaign, and I'll see you guys on the campaign trail. Thank you.
So I'd like to hear about the website for your campaign. Go ahead.
You'll have to time travel for that one into the future. Look, man, I'm just real. I'm not going to spew bullshit up here. I'm running the most efficient campaign that the Libertarian Party has ever seen. I've done zero fundraising, and I continue to. I plan on continuing having that. I mean, what would you rather be? Would you rather do that and not expend all this effort and actually spend more time being able to live your life and doing other things, or would you like to be libertarian lifers, like some of these guys up here putting in all this time, effort, tons of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars in bars, or being just a perennial loser like Jay?
Oh my God! Oh yeah, dude, I need that buzzer you got, man.
I know.
There it is. God, that was so good. Oh.
Every single cycle, or put it in, just like Joe Jorgensen or whoever the nominee is going to be, just to get 1-2% in the general, and then everybody's going to forget about you.
Yeah.
No, who cares about that? So Chase makes fun of me for just known as being a podcaster, but look, I think we can reach people that way. We can reach people by making them laugh. That's what I'm trying to do.
Thank you.
Fuck yeah, dude. I shared something from David Nolan the other day from the 1980s. Libertarian Party founder David Nolan, who was speaking to a bunch of libertarians at a libertarian convention going, yeah, you guys, I don't know. I mean, I'm all about ballot access too and vote totals, but you guys understand that's just that's a means to an end. That's what we use to get liberty, not that's not the goal.
Right.
You guys know that, right?
Yep.
It's just it's crazy that we've come this far.
This far, same arguments are being made against them. Every single political candidate on the stage, you're making the same as David Nolan in his living room. It's not changed at all.
Yeah. I mean, David Nolan would tell you right now, yo, start a podcast and get involved with your community and change the culture. That's what the founder of the LP would tell you is important.
Be honest.
That's what Hoppe still doing.
Yeah, thank you. So, real quick, a little background. I grew up with an outhouse and no electricity on a pot farm in Big Sur, California. And I went on to found multiple internet companies, the largest of which was a company called Friend Finder Networks. It was dating websites. I grew that with 600 employees doing $350 million a year in sales. I sold that company in 2007. Look, the Libertarian Party has a messaging and fundraising problem. Okay, it's not that our messaging isn't bold enough. It's not that our messaging isn't principled enough. It's that we're not reaching enough people with a regular message that resonates with regular people out there. That's what my campaign is about. I picked 5 pieces of policy that resonate with the most Americans, that fix problems that Americans have: their healthcare, the economy, the criminal justice system, our rigged voting system. Go to Lars24.com, where I have a policy team that has put together over 30 pieces of policy with white papers on how we're actually going to unrig the system. You all have the power to unrig the system. I need you all to show up in Washington, D.C. for me and vote for me as a delegate so that I can win the nomination and bring our message of liberty to the most Americans ever reached.
Thank you, Mr. Master. Mr. Alder.
Real quick, I just want to say that out of the guys that aren't Clint, Josh, Rec, and Toad, Lars is my favorite. He's the least insulting, and I understand the utilitarian purpose of having a millionaire self-fund a party that has no money.
Sure.
And he is kind of like, at least he's not a niche libertarian. He's like, look, I'm bare bones ABC's libertarian. I got the 4 things that people care about, the duopoly, you know, like just that kind of regular shit. So it's like, out of those guys, I find him the least insulting.
So from the first day that I found the Libertarian Party in 2010, when John Mons waved me into a tent, I have been committed to the idea of fighting for human liberty. But I didn't get there all just instantly. I came into that tent being an anti-war Democrat at the time because George Bush was a Republican, and I opposed Obama failing on everything that he did in terms of foreign policy. And when I met John Mons, he said, "What is the most libertarian issue to you?" And I bet you're more libertarian than you realize. And I said, "I oppose the war on terror and the war in Iraq with every fiber of my being." And the next words out of his mouth were, "Welcome home. Welcome home. This is the party that you belong to. Let's connect your anti-war policies with the libertarian philosophy."
That conversation.
And ever
doesn't
since then,
happen.
I've been allowed to
that
grow
young,
this movement.
that young gay British boy was me. Who walked up to John Mons and said, John Mons asked, "What's your biggest priority?" The war on terror. And that young gay boy, he said, That's me. I'm against the war on terror." And that black man told me,
I'm John Mons.
I'm John Mons. And welcome home, young libertarian. And that young libertarian,
that was me.
That young gay libertarian, that was me.
So I walked up to John Mons and I said, "John Mons, I'm home, baby."
I mean, sure, great. If that happened, great. John Mons, no disrespect to him, but I don't believe this. This feels like a Kamala Harris story about how she was that poor girl on the back of the bus.
So there I was. It was 2012, and I was getting beat in a hate crime, and they said, "This is Mitt Romney country," and I was like, "No way!" Out of nowhere came John Mons, and he brought me into a new third party.
He's like, "You gay boy, you little gay boy, come into our fold.
Holy,
welcome
detour.
Welcome home, son."
We've been seeing, and what I want to do is I want to provide that growth for millions of voters who are dissatisfied with the two-party system. A majority of the country says they are sick and tired of Republicans versus Democrats, Trump versus.
Look at tourist Lars.
Right? He's gonna turn in a minute and have everybody pose for him.
Everybody say Parcheesi.
The guy who founded Adult Friend Finder is the guy who's taken the selfie or whatever the Instagram picture for the debate. That's how you know.
It's great.
So let's give them something they can feel good about voting for, and let's welcome them into the tent. You're anti-war? Welcome home. You want to support the rights of immigrants? Welcome home. You want to secure property rights? Welcome home. And if that's your issue, you come here and let's let you grow into liberty so we can have millions of new libertarians fighting for liberty all over the country. That's what I want to do. Go to votechaseoliver.com and learn how to join the movement. Thank you very much.
That's me.
Thank you. My name is Michael Rectenwald, and my website
I wish I was dead.
.com. And that's what I intend to do. And I don't intend to do this by myself. This is not a campaign strictly. I am running.
Tuck your shirt in, bro.
Movement. And this movement is a movement of localization and decentralization. And that has to take place at the local level. We're not going to march into Washington, D.C. like a white knight and fix all of the federal government's problems and abolish this and abolish that. We have to do it from the ground up. It's not going to happen by virtue of a.
You know, I'm going to say that part of this is the way that he delivers it, right? He's not the best messenger, but I agree
Everything
with this.
made for print. Yes.
But listen, I agree with the message, and I am a realist. I don't want to be lied to, but I'm not sure that our people are ready for this. I think that most of the people that go to these conventions and play this game, they're into the LARP. And when somebody comes and goes, "Guys, nobody's coming to save you." Like I'm not sure that it's a winning political message. Unfortunately,
that gets from a very basics libertarian, Jacob Hornberger. For him, that's like, these are conspiracy theorists because they're like being honest about the things that they're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
A flashing media campaign and advertising agenda. It has to happen with somebody that can speak the liberty message
Put your
to
phone
the
away.
broadest audience. I have reached hundreds of thousands of readers with my books in the free market, and those ideas have been read and they have been accepted and they've been pondered by hundreds of thousands of people. This is what
Look, I gotta say, dude, you know, like I wish again, I don't need to go to bat for you repeatedly because you know that I think that you're the guy. And I think that you should be able to tell people like, yo, I'm an accomplished author and I've done this shit. Like without, for some reason, he can't do it without sounding kind of boastful.
Like he's selling a book.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I want
like
him to bring it up. Okay,
Just,
good.
You did this. You are educated. You are well read.
Yeah, I
You have
sold shit
accomplished
in
more
the
than
market. and that's
everybody
good.
on the stage.
Yeah.
Say it.
Yeah, no, agree.
Like, this is why I need to
prefer it.
represent you. Because the rest of them are retards.
Agreed.
What I want to do is take this message to a broader public and make more libertarians and shift the Overton window towards libertarians. Thank you.
Mr. Hornberger, there will be one final bonus question after this.
Oh, boy.
round.
As I have been pointing out since the South Carolina debate, this reform message that has come to characterize this party, Social Security reform, healthcare reform, immigration reform, monetary
Socialist.
reform, cannot garner votes. And it cannot lead America to liberty. 3 years ago, 1.1%. 2 years ago, Chase, 2%. Mike Tremont, 1%. 2 Wall Street Journal
Pause,
polls,
Dave, for a second.
2024.
He's talking about all of the other percentages of people who have run, but he ran. He ran for this exact position, and Joe Jorgensen, he can bash on her all day long, but he lost to her. He could not convince the libertarians to vote for him based on this unmitigated libertarian position that he thinks will be the difference.
And
this
he
has never
doesn't-
happened before.
He doesn't have any, like everybody on this stage, and you and me and Kate would all agree that getting 1 or 2% sucks. We all agree with that. But somehow he makes the leap with no evidence, no statistic, nothing that says, well, the reason you're getting that is because you haven't promised.
That's
to
why
abolish
Joe
Social Security.
Jorgensen beat you. It's because they weren't principled enough. Like you
It is
tried
pretty
this
crazy.
already and you lost. And you had the Mises Caucus backing the last time, and
Right.
you lost to Joe Jorgensen.
You still lost.
Yeah. Yeah. Poor guy.
1%. Chase is the best example of this. 10, 20, $30 million in his race for U.S. Senate. A statewide debate with an incumbent U.S. senator. He got his message out to every voter. His reform-oriented message. His 25-year plan to continue socialism in America. Why didn't he win the Senate seat?
Wait a second. Did you see Chase put his pinky up to his face?
No,
when him and
no.
Okay, we have to go back because this is just a couple seconds. He made a $20 million joke, and then Chase made a Dr. Evil joke.
Message that has come to characterize this party. Social Security reform, healthcare reform, immigration reform, monetary reform cannot garner votes, and it cannot lead America to liberty. 3 years ago, 1.1%. 2 years ago, Chase, 2%. Mike Tremont, 1%. 2 Wall Street Journal polls for 2024, 1%. Chase is the best example of this.
0.
10, 20, $30 million in his race for U.S. Senate. A statewide debate with an incumbent U.S. senator. He got his message out to every voter. His reform-oriented message. His 25-year plan to continue. Why didn't he win the Senate seat? Why did he only get 2%? Because this reform
What
message
did you get?
cannot garner votes for this
He's
party.
not done anything. Like he's calling
Jacob
people out who
Hornberger.
ran for office who got 1%.
Yeah. He got 2%.
He's calling them out.
He got what he needed to get the runoff. But Jacob, again, is so far removed from the reality that he thinks people went out and voted for Chase because of Chase's philosophy or that they like Chase's personality.
Right.
They didn't know who Chase was. These are people who are dissatisfied with the two options, so they clicked the other thing. 2 years before that, Shane Hazel got the same 2%.
Either way, what has Jacob Hornberger done compared to Chase Oliver? Nothing. He lost to Joe Jorgensen, and that's it.
Chase actually is a more accomplished libertarian.
Yes.
Politically.
It's true.
You know,
He is.
Jacob has his foundation and stuff.
Sure.
But no, you're right. He's gotten more votes. Well,
yes,
at least in the past.
If he's calling out on votes and percentages, what has Jacob Hornberger done for voting percentages at all? Anywhere?
Smotz, what are you sipping on over there? Because secretaries and divorce.
Shut up. Shut up, Dave. Shut up.
Dave is what?
Shut up.
Just shut your mouth.
We're 3 hours and 37 minutes into this thing. Your show has been dead for like 3 months.
Yeah.
And you're going to come back with a 4-hour episode?
Get it out, you lush. Get it out of your system
I don't
right
think
now.
this is going to make the cut. If it does, then great. If somebody's willing to sit through 3 hours and 37 minutes of Dave's show,
Yep.
then by this point,
I am.
I've been gone for 4 months. I'm making up for it, bro, with a 4-hour tour.
good.
Right.
Good.
I
I respect it. And I hope they stay for the smoke because Jacob Hornberger can't take it.
Here he goes. Let's let him
I'm
finish.
drunk.
Let's
yes.
let him.
But for Jacob Hornberger to call out Chase Oliver on any percentage when Jacob Hornberger has had 0% in any race ever,
You
to my
can't
knowledge.
tell me I don't know. You don't even have a percentage.
Write him out.
Just
you
kidding.
got Kate.
The
You got
only
Kate.
thing that can garner votes in this party and break us
Tag
out
in.
of the 10 or 15% category and that can lead this country to freedom is a campaign that is based 100%, no exception.
I would also like to
on
point
pure,
out that all your
genuine-
other guests left. So whatever.
Yeah, they
Fuck
all
you,
showed
Side
up.
Dave.
They showed up at 7 o'clock promptly. You fuck. So
We were drinking before we.
I know.
showed
No,
up.
honestly,
I'm
I
drunk.
love the chaos element of this, and anybody can come and go as they please. So it's all good.
We're gonna go.
No, we're not.
Yeah, you're gonna let me finish this
Right.
last 3 minutes out. You better fucking.
Right.
stay.
No, we're gonna go. No, you finish this out. We're gonna big time you. Bye.
Bye. See you later. Bye.
founding principles of this party, including open borders and abolishing every single socialist program immediately.
Yeah, just
So,
burn it down.
rarity and closing argument, but since you were addressed, I'll give you an answer.
$30 million. I didn't have $30 million. I had $20,000. With that $20,000, I forced a runoff the most expensive U.S. Senate race in history. I made national news for the Libertarian Party here in Georgia and around the country. I'm so proud of that race. And every time I mention it, go watch my
You should be.
face to face. I am so proud of that race, and I certainly know libertarians in Georgia are proud that I ran that race and got us national news and attention, and I would do it all over again in all 50 states.
He's not wrong.
Okay,
Should be
this is a
proud.
bonus question. You told me the other day you knew how you're going to take on Trump on the general stage.
Yes.
Okay, that's pretty much it. They bring out a Trump impersonator after this.
Like, come on, what happened? This is
What
where
happened with
we
this
are.
debate?
With this party.
Yeah.
Like,
Didn't take long, did it? We just took it over
No.
2 years ago.
You should play the Donald Trump part because that's where she gets really riled up and gets really anti-libertarian because fuck you, ingrates.
I do.
But
yeah, I get it.
But I'm gonna be moderating soon. She's gonna be there, and I might troll some things. I respect the troll, certainly. The
I
Donald
don't
Trump thing at the end.
as much. Like, because I remember
all I
when this
respect.
is like a serious attempt at something.
A serious attempt.
You
I was wondering
wanted to
what
say
it was.
serious party, and you stopped yourself and said a serious attempt.
at something, at being something.
Yeah.
And
I've never seen that,
now Toad isn't wearing shoes.
and he's the best.
Yeah, it didn't bother me.
Well,
The shoes
and
thing didn't bother me.
Well, I'm not. Yeah.
because
know,
we're
it's
not people. Despite the fact that Mike Tremont wants this to be a competitor to the duopoly, it's not. So the
Nope.
sooner we come to grips with that, and we realize that our function, at least for the next generation, has to be to build liberty before we can get any kind of trust for anybody to run office, let alone, like Forrest Mommy was here, she ran for city council. That's tough enough. And these motherfuckers, they want to talk about running for like federal office or president. They all know Mike Tremont is a smart guy. He knows quite well that he will not win, but he will tell you though that like, oh, if you just run a professional campaign, like you could pose a reasonable,
They got a very different debate moderator coming up very soon in North Carolina. I wish that you could be there, Dave.
Yeah, I know. Well, where I'm not going is the Rage Against the War Machine rally. Since
nobody is.
Myrtle has done she's done wonders for this
I'm
party.
not going to give her shit. I should have given her shit earlier when we started talking about RFK, because I think she wants RFK but won't say it.
I
feel
want
like
RFK, and I will say it.
Well, if you do, okay, I appreciate that. But even as the chair, if she is into it, she should bring it up. Like, hey, here's the case. Here's the case for it, and we have been talking and whatever.
Like national funding, okay.
Yeah,
No.
I mean, she could make the case at least if she's into it. Like, nobody else is going to, and we do lack leaders around here, so
Yeah, a little bit.
we could use some of that when
That's why me and Reed Coverdale have any credibility in this space.
Oh man. Reed Coverdale, bring him back. It's almost 11, so that is about a 4-hour show. So I'm gonna go ahead and call it
you're
one.
an hour ahead.
You guys are the last ones standing. Thank you for coming and hanging out. Smotz.
And I'm sober.
I'm very not.
You can tell them at the next debate. Just come and tell them you did Hornberger. I'm just playing with you, bro. I had a great time hanging out with you tonight. I always feel like it's me always coming over to your house. So tonight,
Thanks for having us.
I got to host. That feels good. So
glad to show up in your basement, the lowest of the low.
Yeah,
Dave Casey. Side Dan is gone, and real Dan is here.
There is no more
Drunk or not.
Dan. Right?
Dave.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you the same call that I gave to Toad. Come out to North Carolina and let's get our house together.
Let's fucking party.
I don't care what the result is.
What does it take, Dave?
Toad.
We have to buy your plane ticket.
Yep.
Let's go.
Yep.
That's what we have to do?
Yep.
That's it?
Mm-hmm.
You're like, we're driving
I know.
from Illinois.
I'm gonna buy this motherfucker plane ticket. I'm driving my ass.
No, we're
We
driving.
are driving.
You guys are driving?
Yes.
Yeah. I
So,
can't get on a plane.
You have
Oh,
zero
right.
excuses. Just go. Just go.
Yeah. Yeah.
I need my what's his name? Bert or whatever the guy's name is. That was
Bert and
backing
Ernie?
up Clint. Yes. I need
Yeah,
my
he
Dave.
mentioned
I
last
need
night
Dave.
multiple times. I need Dave at this thing with me. So we'll look into plane ticket prices,
Okay.
Dave, and if we can arrange that, you in?
Yeah. Yeah. Tell those guys in North Kakalaki to spring for it,
We'll see what we can do.
and I'll hold your camera for you. No, you already got a camera holder right there. You don't even
I'm a
need me,
camera
bro.
holder. You get on
Yeah.
stage.
I need a sidekick, Dave.
Yeah.
I need somebody to call this shit out with me.
Yeah, you get on stage. I'll hold the camera.
I
You
need
good work
another
stop.
McCarthy.
Yeah.
I like it.
McCarthy sidekick.
Yeah. We're a good team, bro.
Dave, I love you. And
I
I'm
love you
drunk,
too.
and
I know.
It's
Even though I
obvious.
feel like right now I'm literally holding you up. Oh
I don't
yeah,
care.
come on
I
over
don't
here,
care.
bro.
I don't care.
No, I
He's
love
fun
it.
drunk though.
I know you guys had a great time at Bennigan's tonight. You just had a couple extra Jack and Cokes that,
We went
but
to a super cute little hole in the wall bar, and it was really fun.
yeah. You guys have adorableness in abundance, and I appreciate you. And I'm happy that you're happy. And thanks for being here.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Dan,
for
where can people
making
find
us-
you?
Thank you for making us the last people as everybody else dropped off the map and killed themselves. Probably. Emo Ben from the Emo Caucus definitely killed himself.
He is in tears
Forrest
right now.
Mommy is probably just like, I don't know, hanging out naked in the forest somewhere. But you can
Odds are.
find You can find us at the system's down. The system.
The system is down.
Shut up! I'm doing great. The system is down. .tv or at tsociety.pod.com. This is Kate Paris, the lovely producer of my show.
Another Liberty Movement power couple. Very excited to see what you guys can do together.
Real fucked.
Kate, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Dave.
Appreciate you guys.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night. And that's it. Now you're just left with me in the pod, and we're back after many, many months. Tomorrow is Groundhog Day, so happy Groundhog Day. Happy New Year. And since it's been a while, Merry Christmas and happy Thanksgiving. Shit, it's been a while. It's a new year. On to new things. And yeah, appreciate you guys. Thanks for being here. We'll do it again soon. Probably next week. We'll see. Bye.
Now that the smoke's gone.